You want a piece of me, boy?
Nuclear launch detected.
Welcome back, everybody, to Nation Wars 4. It's the grand finals time.
Yep.
After watching some of the worst games of all time, you finally get to see the real pros go at it. And it's going to be good. Best of 9, actually.
Yes,
I think
best of 9.
First important thing to mention. You know, the revive thing actually, I was going to say gets complicated, but not really. There is 2 revives. One of them is an instant revive. So basically, if one of the players loses and wants to come right out immediately after, even if it's the first match, he can, but the last revive cannot be the same guy. So basically, one guy won't be revived twice in those 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is fair. I think it's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's already a little bit like, a shining player can win for their team, so to make it more so, that doesn't make much sense. So, I mean, the rule kind of like makes it so, of course, there's the regular revive, but then there's that chance that, like, you can take this guy, he just messed up once, and you want to go right back at it. That's when you do the instant revive. So it might be used today. I mean, Best of 9 is a lot of games in Poland, South Korea. Hoping for a lot of good ones. A lot of, no ZVZ this time, I suppose. So Nurture and Laser, hopefully, we're only practicing ZVZ.
For Korea, I would guess that they'd keep their last revive for innovation. I mean, if they even need to, right?
Yeah.
And use the other one on either Zest or SOS. Whereas for Germany, I guess it's situational. It also depends on map. Poland, sorry. Yeah. For Poland, it also depends on map, which we have here. And I would maybe Showtime as last, and then depends on maps. Could be TL or Hero Marine also for the instant one. But I believe we've got an interview ready with the captains, so let's hear from them.
Hello, everyone, and here we are with the last match of the entire Nation Wars 4th season. I've got with me the 2 captains, Zest, and our good friend Arthur. Nurcho is sitting next to me. Okay, before this final starts, I want to ask Nurcho. You guys did super well. This Nation Wars obviously reaching the finals. I think most of the people that were following the competition thought that Poland was one of the most stacked team. You've got depth, you've got great players. All 3 players are really, really great. Obviously, you're gonna be the one carrying the team, anyways, right? You're King Arthur.
Well, I will try, but I think, as you said, other players are really strong as well. Actually, I believe in the previous years it was a little bit lacking in terms of our third player was always the weakest link, and now we have Elaser, so I think our lineup is ready to take the victory.
All right, Zest. Last year, you weren't part of the team that got beaten during the finals. For those of you who don't remember, 5-0 against France, obviously. Is it really important to you to make a difference now that you're in the team, you're in the Korean team, you're representing your country? This time you're in the finals. Are you finally going to take the victory for it?
작년 내셔널에서 한국 팀이 결승전에서 올킬 당했는데 이번에 주성훈 선수가 이렇게 합류하게 됐어요. 이번에 그때 패배 서력하고 우승할 수 있을까요?
저희 한국 대표들은 한 명 한 명이 다 에이스이기 때문에 가뿐하게 이길 수 있을 거라고 생각하고 있어요.
Just says every single member of this Korean team is ace quality, so they should be able to win easily.
Easy win for Korea. Do you really think that it could be like this, or are you confident in you being able, and the team in general, Poland, being able to take the win?
I mean, yeah, we're definitely ready. And, it's been a long day, but we still have enough power to take Korea down. It's best of 9, it's going to be hard, but we can do it.
Right, you mentioned the weakest link before, and you said that Elaser being in the team actually makes a lot of difference, and he was able to take 3 points in the last match. Is he the guy that you see as being able to do exactly the same thing against Korea?
Elaser has always something planned for all his matches, and he has something planned this time as well. There is 2 revives. So we'll see who will come back again, but all of us are ready to take down Korea.
All right, and to finish up before we will be asking the first players for both nations. Well, SOS hasn't been doing too well in the first game. Are you actually going to allow him the opportunity to get some wins on this one?
저번 경기에서 SOS 선수가 나와서 이렇게 좋은 모습을 못 보셨는데 이번에 다시 기회를 줄 생각인가요?
그 9판 5선 승제이기 때문에 뭐 길게 보고 있으니까 뭐 기회가 된다면 이길 것 같아요. 네, 다시 자기한테 기회가 온다면.
Well, because it's a best of 9, Zest is looking at the big picture. And if he gives SOS an opportunity, he thinks SOS will be able to redeem himself.
All right. Nurture, I'm going to ask you for a prediction on how the match is going to go. So in terms of score, what do you think it's going to be?
Well, I cannot predict against us, so let's say it's gonna be 5-4.
5-4, really tense game. Same question in terms of prediction for Korea.
그러니까 스코어랑 결과를 예측한다면
5대 0이나 5대 1로 네, 승리할 것 같아요.
he thinks Korea will win 5-0 or 5-1.
5-0 or 5-1. Do you have anything to say about that? You think he's being too cocky?
I mean, they have a strong lineup, but I think we're not gonna go down so easily.
All right. And to achieve that, who is going to be Poland's first player for these finals?
Well, Elazer did fine against Canada, so he's gonna try his luck against Korea as well.
Elazer is going to be the starting player for Poland. Who's the starting player for Korea?
한국 팀의 선봉은 누군가요?
First player be Zest.
You're going first? Zest? Okay. Zest versus Elazer. A Seek PVZ is going to be the starting matchup for our finals between Poland and Korea. Guys, you can shake hands. May the best team wins. Casters, take it away.
Zest always with the confident predictions and takes matters into his own hands this time. It kind of reminds me of the group stage earlier, where he wasn't really playing too much, and then he was like, all right, guys, it's my time. Round of 8, just plays and all kills.
Yeah, of course, by predicting a 5-0, I guess he means he's going to 5-0. So he's pretty confident. Of course, if you need a reminder about the Polish lineup, here it is. Mana, Laser, Nurture. Laser going out first against our Protoss. And looking to take the actual final win. They got top 4 last year. Obviously doing already better, but an actual grand prize would be amazing.
Pretty consistent, actually, across all nation wars. 6th, and then 4th.
Yeah.
And then this time at least top 2. That's quite good, I would say. But, I mean, Poland is one of the strongest nations in Starcraft in the world. A lot of people, I think, last season would have predicted them to make it to the finals. Didn't happen. This time they're here, and they get their shot at South Korea.
Yeah, it's it's obviously not an unbeatable nation. They did lose last year to France in an all-kill against them, actually. I mean, the Marine Lord was on fire back then. Maybe one of these guys can be on fire here.
Yeah.
If a laser gets a 5-0, I'd actually just be like, I don't know, I'd have to reevaluate a laser pretty darn hard if you actually got the 5-0, but I suppose anything is possible. But there's always Nurture in the back pocket, and I actually think Mana has some pretty good PvP. So I think Zest and SOS, obviously 2 Protoss players, that's some wins for him.
And here's the Korean lineup. They've made a lot of money, these guys. A lot of money.
Yeah, of course, SOS doesn't win anything less than $100,000. No, he's got a lot of money, but every single player has a lot as well. I don't know, what is the best results, actually? I'm kind of confused by that one on the page. Because obviously, best result for SOS is not, overall none.
Best result in Nation Wars.
Oh, Nation Wars. Oh, okay, all right, then. That makes a lot more sense.
So only Innovation was part of the team before in the Nation Wars 3. There were a couple of show matches, but we didn't count these. We only counted the actual thing. But yeah, it's nice to have Korea here offline this time around, because last time it was fully played online, and obviously they have to play very late. There's some delay here. Nothing like that, and so far they've delivered here. They've looked really, really strong.
Yeah, I mean, we did say, or a lot of people said that this was the strongest Korean lineup, especially compared to last year. And it was, Beyond Innovation, Zest, that's all 3 huge names in the past year. The addition of SOS as opposed to another Terran, I think it's...
it could have been Maru, I think, but Maru also couldn't make it.
Also could have been Maru, but I still it's obviously still a very strong team. But they showed weakness in the group stages as well, so again, not unbeatable.
You know what the best lineup actually for Korea would have been?
What's that?
Beyond Innovation and then either Maru or TY. 3 Terrans. And then Mana would have just forfeited.
Perfect. I agree.
Poor Mana. Did you see his win rate against Terran? It was like 30 something.
I did. Yes, it is.
Maybe it's not a lot of games, but I mean, he's really struggling against Terran as of late. So
yeah.
I would assume that if Elaser loses here against Zest, we would see a Mana come out next.
Yeah. I think so.
Nurture mentioned he's not a big fan of Protoss, even though like I'm pretty sure he's still very good against them, but it's SOS and Zest, right? Like, and by the way, because it's best of 9 instead of best of 7, and we only got 7 maps, 2 maps will be used again as last 2 if we need to use those, and those will be Echo and Overgrowth that make their appearance twice in this map order here. Okay. But first map, Habitation Station, Elaser, very good against Protoss, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. And Habitation Station, I always like, such a tricky map, right? It's pretty small. You have, like, of course, the options of the gold base if you're that type of player. But I'm actually a little bit scared for Zest on this one. But we'll see what happens.
I'm always scared for Zest.
Yeah, I guess so. You see, actually, that the map statistics kind of back me up there. But it's just, I feel like, I mean, you know, if it's not a laser, it's like a cheesier Zerg. You got these proxy hatches. Yeah. Even if any Zerg at all can go for drops with lings.
Yeah, you know what's a real pain here, actually, because there's a little bit of dead space around your mineral lines, is bailing drops.
Yes.
Simultaneous bailing drops, which is one of the specialties, actually, of Elaser. So I'm hoping we see something like that to see how well Zest can fare against this kind of build, but I mean, we kind of underestimate Zest in the past in this tournament. We shouldn't do that again. He all killed in the previous round, in the round of 8, and he was very convincing.
Yeah, I think honestly, like Zest's biggest weakness, as he's been, you know, going into more online tournaments and whatnot, is the fact that it's online. Like, he really does not like playing off server. But now that, of course, it's offline, not such a big deal. It's still like, I mean, Zest can actually play kind of a predictable ZVP for a long, like, well, I don't know, a long time, but for like a couple of months, he really was only going for that Dark Shrine build on 2 bases. He did start to mix it up, of course, in the last time we cast him in Nation War. So he's not like a one-trick pony. But.
It wasn't necessarily the most conventional way to play either, though, behind this, because like most Protosses, they will get like some sort of like attack move army, you know, with Immortals and Archons, whereas like Zest, he was against Solo, I think, and Snoot. There were some of the games where like he made a ton of sentries and attacked, and it kind of looked like old school Starcraft on Heart of the Swarm, you know, and like sentries were actually like the best thing ever for Protoss. So I was actually a little bit weirded out by some of these games, but it just like made it look so good anyway that it's very hard to face this kind of a style. Now, if Elaser plays with Bailing Drop, it negates perfectly this kind of style from Zest. Even though Zest, if he goes for sentries, he still gets a ton of Blink Stalkers, which, I mean, they're pretty good against Drop Lords if you can pull back, force field, and micro correctly.
Yeah, I do think Elaser's got to try at least a couple, right? I mean, whether it's early game, mid game, or late game, there's options there. My question really is, of course, as we get, you know, maybe into the game in, I guess, a couple of minutes, but is like, you know, does he go for the gold base, and at what time? You know, I think eventually it'll happen, but does he go for it immediately? I mean, Elaser's not a particularly cheesy person, but I think any Zerg has that in their list of tricks, I suppose.
I wouldn't put it past him. Like, he's done it before. He's against Zest, though. Like, you have to respect the minimum, right? Like, maybe as a third hatchery. He doesn't need to go for it, like, either. But I feel like it puts a lot of pressure on a Protoss. Then again, I mean, I assume Zest is probably got some sort of a plan against that. He's already probably thinking about that too.
Yeah.
Like he purposely went out on this map.
Yeah, I mean, we had that, you know, best of 3 with you because we wanted to give the Korean team at least a bit of time, as they were the last ones playing, to kind of think things over. And I think you look at Poland and you think of the Zergs first. Like, again, Mana could be a threat to their Protoss lineup, and then just send innovation, like bim bang boom, like that's not a big deal. But if you're sending in your Protoss is like, you know, you're going to be up against Zerg and like really good Zergs, so you're going to be preparing against that. And knowing the first map also helps. So even though Habitation Station can have some complicated defenses against Zerg, I think it's something that Zest is going to be prepared for.
I played a show match against Moment because we wanted to remind people what good Starcraft actually is like. So we put 2 terrible players to play against one another. People were like, what the hell is this? And now they're going to watch Zest, and they're going to truly appreciate him. If you only watch high-level tournaments, sometimes you might not realize how good these guys actually are.
The bridesmaid effect, absolutely. I got some tweets coming in. Poland can make it. Doge is relaxed about the games. That is actually a Doge. Oh, my God. That's a
chilling.
Go, Korea. Double monitor setup. Well, that second monitor kind of looks like it's from, like, I don't know, the 90s. That's pretty cool. Keep sending us your tweets about your setup, your cats, dogs. I don't think I've seen a cat tweet yet. Last time I said that, I got like 50 cat tweets, like personally, but I don't mind. Do it.
A lot of people have pets, actually.
Yeah.
It's nice, like when you're watching some StarCraft, when you got a pet around and you get some food, it's just like heaven, right? Like
It's so comfy, right?
Yeah.
Like, if it's cold, in America, you just got like your heated blanket plus your cat. Now I'm getting all weepy. I miss my cat back at home. But the point is, all right, like
You've
cool
only got 2 days.
I'm already weepy. No, I miss him. No, but we love seeing the tweets. So keep them coming. But I guess a laser Zest. We said CVP. It's going to be, I think, a lot about Zest defending. But even with Zest has a couple of tricks up his sleeve. I mean, going for the old standard isn't exactly bad. He does have some pretty good standard builds. Again, that Dark Shrine build, even if I feel like it's kind of gone past that point where like everyone was doing it every single game, which I'm thankful for. 100% of EVPs that I was casting were like all the Dark Shrine builds, but. It still happens, right? And like, if he does send it out, he's always been really good with it. I said he follows up with the sentries, a little bit different as well.
Protoss got very good at like microing it and
exactly.
following up at the same time, but Zerg's got very good against it as well, except Stefano. So
that's I feel like we shouldn't be talking about that as long as Nation Wars is being cast. Like you can bring that up in other tournaments, but maybe not the one that happened in. But of course, there's Zest. Handsome as he is. Of course, every Protoss feels like it's weak against Terran, so not too surprised there. But
that's a sick win rate against Zerg, actually.
Yeah, 75% is pretty good. So
I guess beating Solo and then Snoot twice helps that, right?
It certainly does. Yeah, again, if a laser goes down, if his PvZ really is that good and laser goes down, then I think Mana is actually a good backup pick. But there's so many options actually available because it's the best of 9, and there's those 2 revives. So I have to like rethink everything.
Yeah. It's tricky, but again, the maps kinda. Even though, like, to be honest, these maps, like for the most part, it doesn't feel like. Some of the other map pools, like they give a massive advantage to someone for the most part. There used to be map pools where like it was very clear that Zerg was going to do way better than another race, and then vice versa with like Protoss or Terran. Whereas like this one, you look at it, and like for the most part, it feels closer than on the previous map pools in terms of like who's going to be advantaged. And on some maps, people have even like these agreements that it's like the fairest map, so they're just going to play on it.
Yeah, I think this is definitely not like a bad map pool. A lot of talk has been, on Reddits and whatever, on the threads about like it's deal with Terran, but it's a whole other issue we're going to get into maybe if innovation comes out. But there's a laser. He does have good rates all around, including versus Protoss. Of course, he finished top 3-4 BlizzCon, and that's, everyone was really, I was like a little shocked. I didn't mind that he got to BlizzCon, but to get the top 3-4 was actually super impressive. And I think he's always a contender, of course. And of course, Nurtio has a lot of faith in him as well, sending him out first.
He beat Showtime on his way to the semifinals in a series that he looked like he couldn't really lose in. So again, we've seen how good his Zerg versus Protoss can be, and it's going to have to be here up against Zest, who's pretty good himself.
Yeah. But it's probably a little bit of the bias from watching Zest before the round of 8, just like really wasn't looking very good, but I really have a good feeling about a laser in this matchup against Zest, specifically on this map as well. Like I think actually a lot of things are going in favor of a laser here, but I don't want to count on Zest completely. Like I'm not saying it's an absolute win for a laser, but I actually give him a little bit more.
Really? Okay.
Credit. Yeah, actually, really, yeah.
I'm really hoping actually that we see the Bane drop style. I really feel like I will learn something if Zest somehow wins, and then if he doesn't, well, I get to complain. So
you get to complain again.
It's
right?
all good.
Zest can't do it.
I just think like it's a very effective style that I haven't seen too many players be able to do well against. So I think it'd be nice to see that and see how Zest actually reacts to this.
Yeah. Actually, I wonder if he'll. I mean, I'm almost certain that he'll be prepared against that. Again, like it's probably just a common build all over. But I wonder if it maybe is more popular among the Europeans. I mean, that's the one really cool thing is that in Nation Wars you do have these different regions. And while I feel like Legacy of the Void is at the probably most stable point between the regions, there's no severe differences in styles. There's always a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
And you get to see all of that kind of clash, whereas offline as well, not like on some online with all the lag. Here's another look of Habitation Station. Again, a small map, gold base. If it gets to the point where they're actually expanding towards the south, then that'd be a very long game.
Yeah.
That can happen.
We don't see too many split maps, actually.
No.
For the most part, it's been fairly quick maps. Here we are, Grand Finals of Nation Wars 4. Poland against South Korea, starting in the top right-hand side of the map. It's, of course, the Protoss player, Zest.
He's going to get Baneling dropped.
That's a sick hint.
In the top left For Poland, he is the red Zerg, a laser.
Gonna have to be on his A game here.
Yep.
He was called the player in shape earlier by Nurture, and he had some pretty good games. Like I really like the way he played, even the way he spoke about them. He was like, I totally failed the game I lost. I was like, oh, he's being so modest. And he's like, I played flawless in the games that I won.
I like a laser's reactions, actually, to his path exposed in Nation Wars so far. We do have Zest going ahead and just walling off on the low ground immediately. And a laser taking the gold base immediately. Ooh. Well.
Yeah. You talked about it. Like, he's one of those guys that's capable of doing that. And Zest will spot it immediately. And develop his plan accordingly. He must have thought of it, like you mentioned it too, so he probably already has some sort of a plan. Chrono Boost to Zealot, like usually you don't go for that and then cancel it, because Chrono Boost is a decent investment on that, so he might try to be aggressive with maybe one or more Zealots and the Mothership Core to follow that up.
Yeah.
You don't usually pylon rush that base, but you can go for it and actually delay that a little bit. Starts a Forge!
Yeah!
He's gonna cannon it.
Oh my god.
Has build here a little bit.
Yeah, right? That's a very interesting response, and one I'm not sure a laser's going to be prepped for. I mean, sure, prepping for that first zealot, being forced to make lings is one thing, but then actually seeing a pylon go down, you're just expecting the Mothership Core to come over, but then, God, I want to see his face when the cannons are to go down too.
I really wonder how a laser is going to react. Does he counterattack? Like, it's very tough to actually react exactly how you need to this. These Zerglings should I be chasing that probe? Now he can start a couple of cannons, going to be dancing a little bit around them, and now that Zealot will get full cover. He has to cancel that base, right?
I feel like he does. I mean, a laser's probably seen this and had to deal with it a couple times before. Like, everything happens on ladder, right?
Yeah.
But I would say that's not super popular, so we just gotta have to make the best of a bad scenario and try and get lings. But I mean, the positioning on the cannons is also really good. You can't get much surface area.
That's a dead base right there. I guess Elaser will try to make the most of it, maybe squeeze out a Queen. If he tries to fight, like, surely there's no way this is going to work. He starts pneumatized Carapace, so I think maybe an Evo Chamber and a Moman-esque build with some Queens and some Zerglings being dropped is going to be the follow-up here for this from Elaser to try and finish this game off quickly.
I like these responses to each other. I mean, Zest scouts the gold base, those on a forge in the main. Laser gets his base killed and is going to try and counterattack while expanding when you're just going to have extra minerals without that larva, but maybe not. I mean, I agree, like, the Overlord speed really says to me that he was going to try and do some Overlord drops, but maybe waiting a little bit longer on the Evolution Chamber. Zest still holding off on his Nexus, adds a Stargates. And I think, like, once he gets a couple Phoenixes, right, then, like, you don't have to worry about Overlord drops much anymore.
That was the worst Queen ever, by the way, that came out on the gold. Just died right away. One of these probes needs to start mining. Evo Chamber finally goes down. How many Queens is he on? He's actually going for this? He's just 2.
Yeah.
Is he just going to abort?
I mean, this isn't the game I expected for the first game, but when they said Habitation Station, I was kind of hoping for a game like this. That's I did not think that Zest was going to be, the the guy to actually start the craziness, basically.
Elaser is actually going to macro behind it. Zest fully expects the counter drop.
That was really odd. I had to cancel and immediately back into it. Well, the Oracle's going to be first. I mean, the Oracle can still help out with the Lings once they're dropped, after all, so it's not, like, bad. But he can also add a Phoenix again to go ahead and just take care of the Overlords.
Zest is in such a great position. I think this forward pylon's covered by cannons as well. He can just warp in there later when he gets more gateways and go for some adepts. Maybe even these Zealots really right now have zero answer. He has to bring there another Queen. Wow. The Spore might get cancelled. Lings finally come back. He's just going to recall. He takes a lot of damage.
Oh my gosh. I thought that last spine had hit for sure. Dang. Well, that does bring back the Lings, as you said, so they're not near that Overlord anymore. He scouts the Overlord drop as well. The Oracle is going to try and do some damage in the main. I think there must have been a Spore Coil I made there too, right? Like, he brought his Queens down. Yeah, okay, there is. Would have been very dangerous otherwise. Still going to get 1 or 2, and I think he still has confidence in dealing with the Overlord drop.
Yeah, I think, like, the lack of anti-air allows the Overlords to still keep on dropping kind of like this, which is why Zest went for Phoenixes. He's going to be able to actually kill this Overlord. All of these links should make sure he doesn't lose too many probes there. That would be kind of bad. But yeah, like, he's on top of things, and so far Zest is looking absolutely fantastic here in this game. Number 1, even walker counts, even bases, Banelingness goes down. We're going to be seeing, regardless of the Phoenixes actually, like, some people might have opted out of the Phoenix option, but not Elaser. He's like, you can get Phoenixes all you want, you're never going to find all my Overlords, and I'm going to be dropping some Banelings, and Zest is going for Fleet Beacon and another Stargate.
what is this game? One or two of these things, I suppose, and I'm like, well, that was an odd game, but this is just turning into a really crazy game. 2 base, fleet beacon. God, we see carriers. And the banelings, like, I suppose like a frontal attack might actually be a surprise enough that they bust down that pylon before Sentry can get a force field, but I don't know if they're ever going to be able to get into those overlords safely, anyways, in the other base. Maybe you can say, keep Zest off a third for a little while longer, because double Stargate, no matter what you're getting, is going to be kind of expensive. But I don't know how long I'll be able to do that. This is just such a weird game. I mean, I actually think that it's kind of funny though, because I think the stereotype is that the foreigners are usually better when it comes to weird games, and the Koreans are, obviously that stereotype of like emotionless, like robotic kind of thing. But Zest is really just like matching Laser for weirdness, and there's the first carrier.
Once somebody like Zest gets an early on lead, and in this case, I mean, he cannoned the gold base that finished. It doesn't really get any better than this. It feels like he knows all the right moves to just keep up. Like in this case, he's playing it a little bit strangely with the carriers. Like he could have definitely played a little bit more standard. Actually, he has 3 more gates here. Instead of starting another Nexus, I feel like I'm watching MC against Terran this one time in WCS where he did an all-in with like 4 or 5 carriers against Cass, remember? And then he had like mass gateway units, and he actually just like kind of killed him right out.
Gosh, I don't remember that. All I remember from MC is a bunch of Void Ray all-ins, but there's a couple of Banelings, really not a lot, because Laser wasn't making that much, but Zest will see it.
And it gets spotted perfectly.
Force fields ready.
Yeah.
What do you do after the force fields are down?
Oh, actually, this trap is not just right up the ramp here. It's actually behind the wall, so that wall is actually going to be perfectly safe with some force fields. He's going to drop the Banelings. Phoenixes are in position. He needs to start walking on his overlords. Maybe some overcharges as well. Queens come to reinforce. This is a complete all-in from Laser, who hasn't been droning up, who's investing everything he has into this. Oh my god, that's another one hit away.
That Mothership Core, man, just got like 9 lives.
He's going to reroll.
Yeah, but I think those are Banelings this time. Oh, they actually, I don't think
That's
I've seen it drop into the trap. That was really cool. So the force field's still available from the Sentry. The Lings flood in, however, before the force field is down, but another stasis trap was made, so it catches most of the Lings.
And the carriers will clean up. Thanks to the Phoenixes picking up some of those Queens as well. Interceptors will keep on being remade. Most of the ground army here, other than the Queens, has been cleaned up. And then those Queens, they're meant to fall behind this. Another overcharge comes back up. Link's about to get freed here from the stasis trap. I don't think that Laser can kill all of the interceptors with just the Queens here.
I don't think so. Now they're out of transfuses as well. I think this is going to be it for the first game. But God, what a game. He's got Banelings, but then how do you take care of the carriers even if you kill all the probes?
Great call by Zest to just add more gateways, not rush the third base. He's going to lose a couple probes there, but I mean, he's on carrier tech against a hatchery tech, Zerg. He's doing pretty darn good in this game. +1's on the way. He's about to have 4 carriers against a Zerg who's lost a whole lot of Queens.
Yeah. Laser might be able to hold against the ground attack that accompanies the carriers, and hell, maybe like Zest doesn't even push, but I don't see why not.
I think he should, yeah. He has the economy behind his. GG gets called, and Zest wins game number 1. He's going to force out Nurture or Mana to come out.
What a crazy game, though. Like, again, I'd say like 1 or 2 of those things, and I'm like, well, it's a little weird, but it's Happy Station, CDP, I guess that happens, but...
He's pleased with himself.
Yeah, I would be too, man. I feel like everything probably went according to plan when he thought in his head, like, well, Laser, I'm going to take the gold base, and then I'll cannon rush it, and then he'll go for the Overlord drops, and then go for... Like, everything actually worked out perfectly for Zest. And, well... That was a really awesome game. Glad I got to be cast that. Who is going to be sent out next for Poland? I said Mana might be a good idea, but
Zest is so cheeky. He's like, are the 2 scrubby foreigners that just played a show match watching what they're watching this? This is how you play Starcraft.
This is how you go carriers. Yeah, I don't know, they're not nearly as confident in this choice as they were for their ACs last time, so actually going to have a bit of a discussion.
It's Echo next, and then it will be Overgrowth as 3rd. I'm feeling Mana personally, but it's fairly equal between the 2.
Mana actually did beat Zest like a couple of weeks ago, but he himself even said like I'll beat Zest because it's off server for Zest, so he didn't.
What tournament was it?
I think it was like a Corsair Cup or something. Like Zest was actually experimenting with participating in European times, European servers.
Base trade into place.
Yeah, of course. As a lot of Koreans are looking towards other tournaments now that they're free from the Cuspa jail. But yeah, I mean, I think Mana even said like, yeah, I'll beat him now, but I won't be able to beat him in like an offline tournament. But we'll see.
That's
now
a terrible mindset. I guess for the online part is good, but
yeah.
All right, they look about ready, so let's go and check in with our host and find out who the next player for Poland is going to be. I think we've got the host ready, so let's go and find out who the next player is.
Actually, not the host. It was Fonka. I don't know where Fonka went, but that doesn't matter. Elaser, Notre, let's actually talk to the captain. Obviously, there are multiple choices to be made here, since we don't just have the ace, we have to revive as well. What is it going to be for Team Poland?
Well, considering it's Echo, and Zerk has a tough time there, so it's gonna be Mana in a PvP against Zest.
Okay, Mana, how do we feel? We saw your PvP before in Nation Wars, and it actually looked really good. You gonna even up the score here?
It's very likely.
All right, well, I'm not gonna... No, okay, no more trash talk. All right, well, you guys heard it. We're gonna head over to a very small break, and after that, we'll be back with Mana versus Zest. Welcome back, everybody, to the Starcraft 2 Nation Wars, brought to you by OGaming and Blizzard. Huge shout out to Blizzard, actually. Without them, it wouldn't have been possible. And Nation Wars Season 4 have been so much fun, so we can't thank Blizzard enough. You know what I also can't thank enough? King Arthur for sending Mana out for a PvP.
Yes, he was just talking to me about how excited he is about this PvP. I mean, it's the first one of the day, right?
Yes, I believe you're correct. I mean, we have seen Mana play PvP before, but that was absolutely not today. So I think you're spot on. I don't think we saw... No, we saw PvP between Showtime and...
Yeah, there was Disruptor. I kind of remember
Showtime SOS on the Overgrowth. Right? Was SOS?
That must have been, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That was fun. I mean, PvP is just fun right now, guys. Like, it's dynamic. We have a lot of different build orders. It's a little map dependent as well when it comes to, like, what is necessarily the best strategy. The map is going to be Echo. You know, in the past, whenever like a player loses, we can theory craft, but it's often quite obvious who comes out next. Now, I generally wasn't sure, because this Nation War is a little bit different, since you have an ace and you have the revive player.
Right.
I was like, there is a chance they may want to revive Elaser, but then again, we're playing on Echo, and Echo is not a map that is great for Zerk. While I'm talking about this, we've got a couple of tweets coming in as well. Cats, Jess, cats.
Asium. Lord Asium has got my back. Hashtag Catter Day. Thank you so much. This is what I'm talking about. 2 cats, too. Amazing.
I love the previous post of Kevin with the Doge, with the Shiba.
Yeah, that Shiba was super cute.
I'm so jealous when I see stuff like that.
Yeah, if I want to see dogs, it's either going to be a Shiba or a Husky. Like those
Akitas are better.
Akitas. Akitas.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those are pretty good as well, I suppose.
They're just like bigger, fluffier, stronger versions than the Shibas. Shibas are cute if you have like an apartment, where if you have a house, you get an Akita.
Yeah, and then if you have like a yard out in like, you know, the mountains, you get a Husky. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, if it's very cold.
Yeah, exactly.
Take a look at the poll results. Everybody seems to have a lot of faith in Poland. I really feel that these results, throughout this entire tournament, they've made 0 sense at all. Like, one team is up 3-0 and everybody thinks that the other team is still going to win. Korea is always the underdog somehow, some way.
Of course. Everyone votes with their hearts, right? It's what we learn in politics. It's what we learn in Starcraft. So it works out. I guess.
Look at Innovation. He's pumped, man. He's like, whew.
Oh, he's so ready, man. Like, it's 10 o'clock at night, and he's so ready to go,
He's like, do I really have to come? Oh, okay. And then he sits down.
Yeah, that's why he wants Zest to 5-0.
Yeah. It's Liquid Mana to the rescue.
That's such a good Photoshop, actually.
You think it's real?
Yeah, of course it's
like,
real.
No, I meant, like, do you mean it's realistic?
Oh, I think it looks pretty good,
If you wouldn't know any better.
I think it looks pretty...
Would you buy it?
I don't know if I would buy it. I'd be like, wait a second. Oh, no, it's Liquid Mana to the rescue. Yeah. I guess it's just is it like a Polish painter that did that, I guess?
I have no idea.
Or they just picked a random painting. I don't remember art history that much.
I mean, obviously, huge shout out to Net Wars. They're always supporting the Polish community. And also, the big IEM events are always really cool. They really create atmosphere at events. Like, I think like every country has like a group of die-hard loyal StarCraft 2 fans that if they have the opportunity to celebrate a StarCraft event, I'm sure that the IM Katowice, which is coming up in 6 weeks, we're going to see them in full force again.
Wow.
They're like, all right, StarCraft is coming to our place, to our country, to our city, doesn't matter. We're going to make it epic, And if some people are just sitting there and clapping, they're like, no, we got to do better. And they start to chant and stuff. I think it's really cool.
Wow, 6 weeks already. That is super quick. Well, I have a look at Mana statistics. And as I said, we already knew this versus Terran is not going to be that great. So if, in fact, Mana does win, well, obviously Innovation has to come out. Well, no, it isn't. No, it doesn't. Well, I think, obviously, anyways, Innovation comes out and just, goes ahead and just gets rid of that guy. But it's versus Zerg, pretty good. But it's versus Protoss. What we're actually looking at here.
If Mana would do it here against Zest, obviously, you could say on paper the best idea is to send out Innovation, since Innovation is the overwhelming favorite when he goes up against Mana. But at the same time, maybe Innovation is that confident that he would just all kill Poland, that he's like, SOS, you came here, played one map, you lost. Here is a shot at redemption.
Yeah, exactly. Redeeming that PvP against Showtime. Yeah, maybe you're right. It's a very long night. By the looks of Innovation, maybe just send me out already so I can fight there. Zest isn't doing it fast enough.
Maybe maybe they'll decide on whether or not Innovation fell asleep by the end of this PvP. If he's awake, then somehow they would lose. They send him out. But if he's taking a nap, as Wes and Zest will look at each other, it's like, we can't wake up Daddy. No, let him rest.
I was going to say, I hope he's a light sleeper. He's the type that just goes and turns over, then they're in trouble. But I think Zest, obviously, I think he said it himself, but I think everyone can say it, right? Every single one of them has a chance to all kill, and it's absolutely true.
But at the same time, though, Poland is really an incredibly strong nation all around. All three players, even though he laser dropped the first map, I really think they're capable of always at least taking a best of one, taking a map. I know we went over this story many, many times when nations went up against Korea. But when it comes to Poland, I generally believe that. I mean, look at Notre, one of the absolute best foreign Zergs to ever play the game. Elaser is one of the hottest players in 2016. And Mana is that Protoss that's been around for 5 or 6 years. Has his ups, has his downs, but you know that you can always count on him and as a solid performer as well.
Yeah, I believe so. Actually, I didn't talk about the last game that much, but I talk about it after these couple of tweets. I'd like it to happen again. What was this?
This was during WCS Season 3 in Krakow. 2015. That was absolutely perhaps one of my favorite events of all time. I could not believe how amazing the Polish crowd was at that awesome location. That venue looked beautiful, and we had the absolute craziest games where Lilbot was down 2-0 against Hydra, and then he lost his natural, and we thought he was dead, and then he won base 4 games, and he wins, and he turns it around, wins the series, and then goes up against the crowd favorite Mana in the final. It was beautiful.
The cat tweet got the cat Lord Kelvin interested in StarCraft 2. Is your cat's name Lord Kelvin? It's like a kitten too. It's so cute. I love it.
That's indeed a very small kitty. Yeah. WCS Season 3 in Poland. That was amazing. That's everything about that event. It doesn't happen often that you look back at an event and you're like, actually, everything was perfect here. But that event, I truly look back at it, it's like, I just loved everything. I loved the stage. It looked beautiful. Everybody was there. It was also when they showed the Legacy of the Void trailer for the very first time.
Yeah, because I believe I was at a Barcraft, actually. Blizzard flew a bunch of people out, too. And that was super cool because we went to this super nice, huge theater. Super well painted, walls and very fancy, and they just showed StarCraft on the screen, and that included the Legacy of the Void trailer. And that was pretty hype. I mean, that was actually I think people still watch it, right? And they get chills. And that Probe puts a pylon down, and I was like, yeah, Probe gets
I love the Archon the most. It's like, man, that's one powerful Archon. Like, why? And then I make Archons in games, and then they get surrounded by Lynx, and it's like, oh, those Lynx got adrenal glands. Like, no.
That one night Templar was on the ground would be absolutely dead in StarCraft 2. It's not getting helped.
I also perhaps what was even better than the actual trailer was the Carbot spin-off.
That's true.
It's so funny when we're in the High Templar and the guy looks at his watch. He's like, anytime now.
Well, my favorite part was actually the pre-interview when Carbot had to talk to the developers of the cinematic.
Yeah.
He was like, okay, it's a little bit awkward, guys. I'm sorry. I love Carbot.
Yeah, that's great. They actually made a great trailer as well for Nation Wars. It was also very fun to watch.
That was very fun. The Canadian Corruptor just flying into the Colossus.
Yeah. And a little bit of everything. The map of this PvP is going to be Echo, as you guys can see. Whenever we look at this beautiful graphic, it means that we are getting ready to hop into the game between Zest and Mana. Mana's PvP has been looking good. Traditionally has been pretty damn good in this matchup. Can he do it one more time against this incredibly handsome man that's spawning on the left top side of Echo? He's 1-0, currently on a 5-map win streak in Nation Wars Season 4. It is Zest. In Control would say, great at playing Starcraft, terrible at drinking water.
In the bottom right, as the red Protoss, he is Mana. I thought you were going to say terrible in English, and I was like,
No,
it's okay.
no. Jeff is not mean like that. Jeff is always funny.
Yeah,
He's like
it is.
accurately funny. Like before the last 2 sips that Zest took, like I was paying close attention. They were kind of normal, but the very first one is like with the support hand, you know, like they grab it with one hand and then put the other hand below the bottle, and it's like he's supporting it, and then he tilts his head a little bit. He's like,
The commentary on Koreans drinking was like the best commentary from Story Cup, and then someone on like Reddit compiled like a list of like times that Koreans failed at drinking. No, that was A+. That was actually the funniest home story, I think. Like the funniest in Control's ever been, but. Anyway, I digress. So PvP on Echo. As I said, the Zergs don't really want to tackle this map, but they'll be seeing it again if this goes to 8 maps. It's one of the maps that will be replayed. Should it be a very close series.
yeah, and by then there is obviously a good chance that it will be one of the Zergs. If Poland actually makes it that far, I mean, there will be a lot of people saying like 8 maps. You know, if Poland is lucky, they will get to map 6. Once again, this is a best of 9, not a best of 7 this time, so we're in for a treat. Hopefully that is. But we'll see. I think anything is possible. Both players being annoying right now. Whenever I try this, you know, where you mine with the probe a little bit and then you cancel so they can use this mineral patch, it looks really cool. And then you try it yourself and you've got 400 minerals and you didn't start your adepts or stalkers. And you're like, oh my god, why am I even doing this kind of stuff? Zest is actually, or Mana's actually doing a really good job. He didn't mine the minerals at all.
Yep.
Zest did mine. He stole. Thief.
Oh. It's gonna be crucial in the 25-minute base trade scenario. 5 minerals less. Now we've got adepts from Zest, stalkers for Mana. I mean, Zest had a very, let's say, cheeky game in the last game. Of course, different race, different matchup, but it still felt like it was a little bit not what I expected from Zest. Even though it was a fantastic reason to do so, it was fantastic. I just didn't expect it from Zest, the Korean here. Maybe Mana a little bit paranoid of something else happening, so maybe sending his stalkers around to scout for any proxy pylons.
I always like it when we have the different openings at first in PvP. One player goes for the adepts, the other player goes for the stalker. Obviously, the days that your 2 adepts just run in a base and kill 7 probes are over. But the adepts still always represent like some sort of a threat. They represent a little bit of map presence and give you a good scout. And eventually, if your opponent is not paying attention, you could still commit to the shade and then potentially get a couple of workers. If you get 3 or 4 probes, it's absolutely worth it. But for now, Zest just wants to keep them alive and just wants to scout. Basically taking the approaches saying, hey, I'm confident in my PvP ability. I just want to make sure I don't get surprised. And as long as I don't get surprised, everything is going to be fine for me.
Yeah. I don't think if it gets to the mid-game, though, when you have Blink Stalker Disruptor versus Blink Stalker Disruptor, I mean, actually, I suppose anyone can take that on. But we talked about that the last time we cast and just how much positioning can really be important. Here we do have faster Twilight Council for Zest, faster Robo for Mana, so Zest will have that blink nice and early and probably take control of the map.
Yeah, there is a small chance that maybe Mana decides to skip Blink and just cranks out a couple of Immortals, or he might still get Blink. But sometimes there is a build where you don't get Blink, you just get Resonating Glaives and you go for a massive attack. But I kind of like the faster Robo. Like, faster Blink is very old school. It's like, oh, I get Blink Stalkers, I'm going to be active on the other side of the map. But there's just not that much that you can get done anymore. You know, with the Mothership Core having this many Photon Overcharges, the fast Immortals being out, and actually being up in Immortal count is often more important than having faster Blink. Because even when you have faster Blink, there just isn't that much you can do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you that map control, right? And it gives you a bit of scouting. But, right, it's and sometimes it also looked like some the worst composition as well if you really delay your Disruptors and they have a couple of Immortals and they have like mass Resonating Glaives. Going for Blink Stalkers actually looks kind of scary, but it is going to be Blink versus Blink, just a bit different on the Robo timing, Twilight Council timing. Both got Observers on the way. Actually might send that across the map. Always so dangerous to do this because chances are they're going to have their Observer also and they can just pick it off.
It's like if you have the faster Robo, your Observer makes to the other side of the map once the Observer from your opponent is done, and then it's like, oh no, you know, it just pops and then you lose it immediately and you feel incredibly sad because you have to remake it eventually and then you can't build Immortals. But basically this is a pure mirror. The only difference is that Mana is going to have a slight lead when it comes to Immortal production, while Zest is going to have quicker Blink. But once again, it's going to be very hard to truly get something done with quicker Blink.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know something that truly fell out of fashion is the good old 4 Blink Stalker hit squad. And it saddens me because I still believe it's pretty good, you know. If you can somehow squeeze it into the main base, you blink in 4 Stalkers, if you get 6-7 workers, absolutely worth it.
Huh. So the Oracles get in for both players, obviously. It really was a mirror with the Oracles as well. It's the addition of a Forge for Zest, who will have 100 going into +1. They're both getting a Robotics Bay pretty close to each other, even a Secondary Scout, in fact, from Zest. But Mana is adding in a Warp Prism. I think he's be able to do some light harassment, and already a second Robo. Wow.
Yeah, that's a very fast second Robo, and I think this Warp Prism is just maybe for some adepts. I'd be a little bit worried if he puts very expensive units in it, because he will know that his opponent is going to have Blink, unless he thinks that Zest somehow skipped Blink, went for Resonating Glaives. But Zest actually does have Blink, despite the fact that his Stalker count is incredibly low. He really does have Blink, so if you would put like an Immortal or a Disruptor in the Warp Prism, he's playing with fire.
Yeah, that would be dangerous. I mean, if you scout and you see... Okay. Oh, he just saw Blink, so it doesn't matter. Never mind on that point. They'll definitely have faster +1. I mean, a lot of PvPs, of course, as they get into the mid-game, almost like a gentleman's agreement.
What was that? Why did he do that?
Really didn't want the Natural to be scouted, I'm not sure. Well, Natural has his Forge, I guess, but I think it's already been scouted.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's Robotics.
Oh, maybe he wants to hide the Robo, baby.
Okay, that hasn't been scouted.
Yeah.
Okay, that might have been legit then.
Both on overcharge for a hallucinated Phoenix. Alright.
Yeah. This Warp Prism is just filled with 2 Adepts, so not too bad. Obviously, you don't want to lose it, and there's a couple of spaces where you can hide Warp Prism, so arguably maybe you don't really have to lose it. But yeah, 3rd base might be slower for Mana. It's only a little bit slower, and he already has double Robo. I mean, I think the only fear here is that he gets overwhelmed and his Warp count is still low. Is there enough Stalkers to really do that, though?
It's 10 against 6, but with 1 Disruptor out already, Defender's advantage, Photon Oceans. Wow, that's a very fast target actually for Zest. So once again, Vision is going to be everything. Once again, an Oracle out and tag this army as quickly as possible in these Disruptor Wars. I haven't seen Zest play some real Disruptor Wars in a while actually, so I'm quite excited to see how he does it. Because at BlizzCon, his PvP was mostly all about timing attacks. Like even the games against Stats, pretty much every game he won, or the one game he won, was just a timing attack. He even threw a game where he could have just sat back and make Disruptors, but tried to end it somehow without them. Ooh, Mana's gonna have to be a little bit careful. Takes a lot of damage there on a couple of Stalkers, and the Disruptor shot completely whiffs.
Yeah, that was pretty dangerous to go up a ramp without knowledge. I mean, if Zest had known his army was moving, he could have sent a Disruptor Ball instead of the force fields.
Mana!
Whoa, that was a very dangerous decision to blink forward.
Yeah.
Even if you think Disruptors are alone. Again, the vision really isn't there for either player quite yet. He blinks forward again.
Wow, good force fields there by Zest. Mana's going to end up losing a couple of Stalkers almost immediately and still does not really connect. Zest flawless so far in this PvP.
Wow. I mean, I understand looking for potential flaws in your opponent, but that was like really, really aggressive. I mean, 4 Stalkers for Disruptor, I guess it's not so bad. Still, a Warp Prism is alive too. Could draw Zest's attention away at some crucial point.
Even getting Warp Prism speed. Ambitious play here from Mana. Mana's going to have to be a little bit careful. Does not know about this target, obviously. And if Zest is able to get an Oracle out, things can get quite tricky for Mana to somehow even get an advantage in these Disruptor Wars.
Yeah. Well, Zest still going into his upgrades pretty hard, already started +2 rather. And with that Oracle Stargates, he actually doesn't have consistent Disruptor production.
It's kind of bizarre how Zest is starting to get ahead in every aspect of the game, right? He has way better upgrades, he's going to have a quicker Stargate, so he's going to have quicker Oracles, he has double Robo as well, and he got pretty favorable trades so far. So even though this seems kind of like a slow PvP, even has the Immortal advantage, like he has more Stalkers, Zest pretty much has more of everything, other than Disruptors at the moment. But having less Disruptors, but having Oracles to tag that army is probably something that I would always sign up for.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. I was also going to say, like, as long as the numbers aren't, like, crucially low, like you're only at 1 Disruptor versus 5, you're still going to have enough shots to cover your army as they retreat, enough to scare their army as well. And I actually don't think, like, 10 Disruptors versus 7 is, like, really that big of a deal.
I wonder what Mana's response is going to be right now as the army just got tagged, and immediately he throws down a Stargate. He's like, oh, did we already make it to that phase in the game? I didn't know that. I thought we were just going to have a little bit of a Disruptor war. What are you doing with an Oracle here? This is unfair. Now you can see me, but I can't see you. So Mana realizing he has some catching up to do, and Zest immediately using the vision as his advantage.
Yeah, this is a pretty big deal. He's really pressuring. He's keeping Mana off of 4th, catches the Warp Prism as well.
And the Disruptor, I believe. I think Mana was going for a flanking Disruptor. If we can take a look at the units lost, we can see that Mana indeed does. And Zest, that was risky.
That was very scary. That was a cool idea by Mana. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out. Still wants to have a Warp Prism out in the field, however, so quickly remakes another one. His +1's also almost finished up again right now. It's about Disruptor Wars and scouting.
Look at Mana. Mana's truly going to be all about those flanking prisms. Maybe 1 prism to flank and 1 prism to still harass, because he did get Warp Prism speed. Meanwhile, Zest got Observer speed.
That's so dangerous. I mean, I understand why it's better than just leaving a disruptor off to the left side. It might get a good hit, but then it gets picked off immediately, so maybe it's not worth it. You pick up with the Warp Prism, kind of solves the problem, but damn, that's going to require a lot of multitasking.
Did Mana scout the fourth base of Zest? Can we take a...
Not yet.
Nope. Okay, so he has a couple of adepts on the left side, perhaps expecting that. That's a good forward blink. At least he gets the Oracle, but Zest will immediately replace it. Obviously, once you're this rich, once again, Warp Prism dies and the Disruptor dies as well. Mana's truly trying to get fancy with these flanking Disruptors, but it ain't working out for him, and this fourth base seems super dead.
Yeah, it is. It's got to be cancelled. I really like the idea, but I think it's going to be paired up with the Harassment Warp Prism as well to really get Zest caught off guard.
I think this is a beautiful PvP so far by Zest. Like, it doesn't look fancy and flashy and not too much has died, but he's just not making mistakes. He's always positioning his units in the right places. He's not overcommitting. He's not eating any big shots. Mana is looking for opportunities, but Zest is just not giving it.
Ooh, wow. Two Disruptors pair. Karno to...
Hashtag Protoss Micro.
Yeah, apparently. Oh, he wants to get rid of the Oracle. I mean, he's still very insistent on double Warp Prism. And it's just, I feel like it's going to keep losing him Disruptors supposed to helping.
This fourth base is immediately going to get cancelled as well, as Mana's army is not here to save it. Mana does not even cancel it. That seems a little sloppy. He's perhaps too occupied with his army. Goes for a crazy forward blink that jumps on top of a Disruptor. Now his own Disruptors come in, do somehow connect. Actually kind of a cool fight, even connecting with a couple of these Zealots. But Mana has to be careful. I know he made multiple Prisms, but I don't see any Prisms here.
No, I don't think. I think they only just popped out, but that was almost a super cool maneuver. Like, to get to the Disruptors on the way back, he got two, but maybe he could have gotten, like, all of them, right? Like, they were pretty clumped up.
Just one jackpot shot where you get 5 or 6, and the world is yours. Forward blink that picked off the Oracle. No, Mana's Oracle died as well. Oracle's just dying left and right. Don't be an Oracle.
I mean, they're both playing. I mean, as you said, Zest is playing an absolutely fantastic PvP, but Mana's not far behind. Sure, he's been making more mistakes, but it's still a late game PvP.
It may be unfair to call it mistakes, as he's like at least trying, right? Like, he's trying to look for openings. Zest is just playing excellent, and he's not really giving him any opportunities at all. But I do like Mana trying, because it's just one time it has to connect, and maybe he can get that massive hit off. And he's being annoying with the Prisms as well. It's pretty cool PvP by Mana. So far, Zest is not falling apart, but it feels like Mana is setting himself up for a very big play.
Still being denied the fourth base. I mean, they're both maxed out. They're not trading so much, so the money is there to keep remaking these fourths. Eventually, it would be a problem, though.
Yep. I mean, but it truly all comes down to the first big battle where they will absolutely trade those Disruptors and eat massive hits. That seems like a pretty good shot for Zest. Connects with a whole bunch of Stalkers, but Mana is actually still quite far ahead, or at least in a decent spot when it comes to army supply. He's really not bleeding out all that much. 25 workers have gone down for Zest.
Those Zealots really want the town. Actually sniped the Disruptor before it gets the shot off, too. And Mana looks actually like he's in a lot of control. I'm surprised pulling back.
Oh, those are some good force fields. No access for those Disruptors on the left side. That's actually really sick play by Mana. But Mana does have to be a little bit careful as his army is getting pushed back.
Oh, man. That was brilliant. He actually would have been completely contained, surrounded. So many Disruptors, no way of sniping them all. This is very smart of Mana to pull back, even when it looks kind of decent.
This is getting madness. Any Oracles alive right now on either side? Nope.
Nope. They haven't bothered rebuilding those. They're really splitting up their armies. This gets very dangerous. That War Prism's actually still alive. I didn't even know that. It's slightly out of range of that Photon Overcharge.
In such a sweet spot. Zest has done a great job in denying a potential fourth base of Mana, though. While during all of this, Zest has been on 4 bases. So even though Zest lost 25 or 28 probes, whatever it was, at least he has that fourth Nexus. The Prism is still just chilling there. One Disruptor shot. Good split there by Mana. Now it's truly time that he gets a fourth base. I'd like to see Templar Archers as well from Mana, because if you look at the amount of gas that he's banking up, and Zest is like, yeah, I've got a lot of gas. Let's get some Archons.
That is a very good use of the gas. I mean, I was going to say, sometimes it's tricky, right, to use Archons. They're going to be even harder to maneuver around those Disruptor shots, but they are banking quite a lot of gas.
They're kind of big, so they can absorb at least a couple of them, right?
I guess that's true.
They'll take 1 or 2 shots for the team. Oh, that seems like a decent shot there for Mana. Connects with 3 or 4 Disruptors. Now this battle is getting truly hectic.
I actually can't even say what's happening. A War Prism drops off a Disruptor. It is not going to be targeted down in time, but it doesn't really hit very much either. the Unitab doesn't look very good for Mana.
No.
His disruptors are being chased down. I think they're all out of shots as well. He has 3 Warp Prisms, so how is that going to help?
Oh my god, the charge is making a massive impact, and all these Archons showing up as well. The flank was great for Zest, and Zest, who did a great job in denying this fort base over and over and over again, just has way too much. Even if he lost a couple of disruptors before that battle started, our Korean Protoss is looking like a man on a mission as he takes down Mana as well and secures the 2-0 lead.
Gosh, I couldn't even really say what happened in that last battle except just pure chaos. I think Mana also maybe got like a little too fancy. Just the entire game was actually kind of Mana being a little bit too fancy. But that last game as well, maybe if he had just been in one ball, facing another ball, it could have been fine. But concaved, probably feeling a little bit of a high after killing 3 disruptors, maybe a little bit cocky, and then the warp was in a micro too. That's a lot.
It looked like, man, that's a great shot, but then suddenly there was just blue everywhere. It's like Archon, Zealots, Stalkers running in as well from all angles. Very fun game where indeed, Mana was the player trying to make the moves, but Zest just did not give him any opportunity at all to get really anything done with all the potential prism. I mean, the War Prism arrest definitely got some work done, but by then Zest had so much money in the bank that it didn't really hurt him all that much.
Yeah, so much money in the bank, plus when you consider how many Warp Prisms died for that one seller run by to do well, it probably evened out.
So what's it gonna be now for Poland? They've got 2 minutes to decide. Do they want to revive Mana? Do they want to send out King Arthur? The thing is though, if you send Arthur out right now, what do you do? I mean, I guess afterwards, like what you could also do is revive maybe Nurcho and then still use maybe Elaser for the ace match.
I don't think that an ace match from someone who's not Nurcho is necessarily the worst thing in the world, but it's certainly something to consider if they want to send him out now.
Yeah.
As he would not be able to be the ace, but he'd be able to be revived.
I believe our producer just told me in my ear that it's going to be Nurcho. All right. No interview, no host. I don't know. All right, so it's going to be Nurcho. So that makes things a little bit interesting. Nurcho's going to come out on Overgrowth. I think that's a pretty decent map for him, right?
Sure, yeah. I think there's a lot of fear on Echo for a lot of different reasons, but Overgrowth doesn't have that same type of fear. Even if they went for like a carrier build on Overgrowth, which is
I think it's hard to pull off.
Yeah, I think it is. So they the carrier maps are most known as Vonnie and Echo, but Nurcho said that he wasn't. Well, first of all, he said he wasn't too confident against Scarlet, and then he beat her. So I don't know about Nurcho saying, but he also said he didn't feel too confident about Protoss. So maybe still Zest 3-0. We'll see.
Now I just wonder about the rest of the plan though, because if you send out Nurcho now, don't you have to revive Nurcho? Doesn't it work like that?
Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah.
So then Nurcho, if Nurcho would lose it, then they could revive him on Newkirk. If he would somehow win, then have to play Newkirk. If he loses that, they could revive him on Daybreak. So maybe Nurcho looked at these 3 maps and he's like, all right, I actually like all 3 maps here. This seems like a pretty proper plan, and by the time that we make it to map 6, which is Vonnie, well, then we could always decide what we still want to do. But this basically means that Nurcho is going to be the revived player, and either Mana or Elaser is going to be the ace.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, by the time Nurcho is knocked out, it'll be a very different landscape of options.
Hopefully, it should be even by then.
Yeah, hopefully it's even, right? Exactly. But that revive really does make things tricky, because I was like, well, of course Nurcho's going to come out. That's right, best of 9.
Korea is looking on fire, though. I mean, last year, I think the Marine Lord 5-0 victory over Korea was one of the most surprising things we've ever seen of Legacy of the Void. And then you always had, 90% of the people are like, oh my god, legendary history, never been seen before, this was amazing. And the 10% is always like, well, this was online, it doesn't really mean much. We're going to disqualify this result. But, no matter how you look at it, that was a fantastic performance by Marine Lord. But if Korea would come back here in Nation War Season 4 and somehow turn it around and 5-0 on LAN, that'd be pretty sick too.
Yeah, of course it would be really sick. And a lot of people are still expecting it. But Nurcho...
What was your prediction for this one?
I said 5-2, South Korea.
Okay.
Yeah. What did you say?
5-3, I think.
Okay.
I had hopes and dreams of a close match. I mean, we're not there yet, but I think it would have been great for... Poland, technically, I think they could have taken maybe Habitation. Like Elaser against Zest, I don't think is a one-sided affair.
No. I mean, it kind of made it look that way, but I don't think... obviously, Zest, I think, anticipated what Elaser was going to do. I'm not sure Elaser anticipated what Zest was going to do, and that just really changed him up, probably.
And then when you send out Mana in a PvP, you need a little bit of Lady Luck on your side, and things need to go well. And I guess this wasn't meant to be. I didn't hate the way that Mana played. I'm just impressed with the way that Zest played.
Right, exactly. It was just like, you couldn't find any weaknesses. Any other player, it's the second or third warpers that gets them, you know?
Exactly.
But it was the fifth or sixth that got Zest. So it was really cool PvP. And I would if Zest beats Nurchio twice, I would not mind seeing Mana come out as the ace.
Yeah, that would potentially be on Daybreak then. I think Daybreak maybe Elase would be like, no, I'll feel it. But I mean, if we're looking at a 4-all, I don't think that I think then even Team Poland looks at each other as like, yeah, you know, who wants to go? I mean, yeah, you always like, whenever you have that one small percentage or that one shot in making esports history, you can always believe. But I think if we would be looking at an 0-4 score, then the morale would be pretty down. The spirits would be down. And
yeah, that's
I think we'd be
true.
looking at a sad Team Poland. But
yeah, especially because, well, I wonder in their minds who they thought the weakest link was.
Of Team Korea?
Of Team Korea, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Zest before the round of 8, probably, because he really wasn't looking that good. And then he, got this all kill, so that made people believe once again in Zest.
And he also seems to be in very good spirits here, and also even said, I was a little down and I'm bummed out about that. I want to change it around. I want people to look at me like I am that, indestructible force again. I'm Zest. I'm one of the best, or maybe the best Protoss in the world. So he's obviously making a pretty damn good impression so far. Hasn't really made any mistakes today at all.
No, he looks like a very different Zest in the games he was losing too. Like it was, you could blame the lag and just how like he was feeling, but it just actually seems like exactly the Zest that just could not be harassed, could not be attacked.
I don't even think it was Zest. I just think it was the Patak effect.
Clearly. Well, maybe not the Patak effect, but I was going to bring up the fact that Scarlet, another Zerg player that Nurchio did just beat, was able to take on South Korea, again, online, blah, blah, blah. Although not different server.
No, that was Korea. Like, they mentioned, they said, like, we played online, and when I asked them, like, were you guys surprised about the resistance you felt so far? They're like, oh, no, that was online. But look, Scarlet was in Korea.
I was talking to Scarlet when that would happen, and she was like, excuse me? Like, I was like, well, tell him what's up. But actually, Zest lost to Semper, so it was off server.
That is true. Maybe he was speaking for himself, right?
Yeah, maybe. Well, we're into game number 3. In the top right, looking for an all-kill, he's the blue Protoss, Zest.
Looking good so far, in and out of game. Always. Over here on the left bottom side of Overgrowth, if Poland wants to keep their dreams alive of winning the Starcraft 2 Nation War Season 4, it's time for the king to step up. It's Nurchio.
There's the appropriate family. Well, we bid, it's just a pull first. Oh, never mind.
Interesting.
That hatchery not in its usual position.
There are a couple of Zergs that like to do this every now and then. Like, it throws off a little bit. But as a Protoss player, I really wouldn't mind seeing this. Like, the way that I would look at this as a Protoss is like, well, cool. That means that the drones you build in your main base, they take a lot further to travel. And that means that you're slowing down your own economy. And some people may not think like, is that really that big of a deal? It kind of is. It's like every drone, 5, 6, 7 seconds extra. It really does add up.
Yeah, I mean, this was like all the rage for, I want to say, like a couple of months ago, and Nurchio was one of the guys who always did it, always the third, the natural at the third, rather. And I mean, there's a couple of different reasons for it and against it, but for, usually it's the fact that your creep spread gets out there a lot faster, as well as your natural is technically a little more protected. And I could see why having the third base creep far ahead, like, say, at the gold, could be really good, because it's Overgrowth that was so popular for, like, that 2-base Sentry Immortal, and you put the force fields up against the hatchery, and that's an additional force field for you. It can be a pain sometimes, but I feel like, of course, force field's not nearly as big of a deal in Legacy of the Void anymore. And
last but not least, even though Nurchio didn't really try to sell it like anything, it creates a tiny bit of confusion sometimes. Pros play maybe like, well, no natural, spawning pool, did you take the gold? Did you take my gold? Am I getting proxy hatch? Is there a hatch in my base? These are all the things you have to think about, but Nurchio didn't really try to sell it as anything that it's not. As Zest is going to go for the regular 1-gate Stargate, will most likely follow it up with 2 more gateways and just take the game from there.
Deb's going to get in here and see, of course, the third base is on the way at the natural, which makes a lot of sense. Then go to the third, because he's probably hoping that there's not any lings here, but...
might get a drone. If Nurchio's not paying attention, he's going to end up losing a drone. But he is paying attention. That's King Arthur for you. Doesn't mess up.
Sent back to that Zelnaga so it can continue scouting. The Stargate's going to finish up as well and then provide even more scouting, and Zest is going to go ahead and expand from this. The chances of Nurchio doing an all-in is, I think, a lot lower than a lot of the Zergs.
I mean, that is actually incredibly fast, though, from Zest. What the...
330.
325. Like, this seems so insane to me. Like, obviously, yes, he's getting an Oracle, and Oracle can keep you safe against Lings and stuff, but notre is actually making additional Lings. Maybe he knows about this, making nothing but Lings, and I think technically this should be a great call, because come on, it's one gateway Stargate. Like, yeah, Oracles are great, but they will run out of energy eventually, and Lings are very fast. That's a nice trade there as well, picking up one of the adepts. I like what Nurture is doing here. He's going to try to punish the greed of Zest.
I absolutely love what Nurture is doing as well. I just mentioned that, Nurture not exactly known as an all-in player. He can provide aggression, certainly, but seeing this fast of a third base, you got to commit to the aggression more than just the 16 Lings to begin with. A Baneling Nest as well, and no way for Zest to really scout this. This Phoenix is going to get over here in time.
Yeah, and it's even worse, I think, for Zest, because it's just an Oracle that's going to fly into two Queens. The Oracle is going to die, which means he almost has nothing at home. I don't know how Zest is going to defend this. If Zest is somehow able to stabilize here with one gateway and a Phoenix after an Oracle, that would be one of the greatest holds that I've ever seen in Starcraft 2.
Nurture going to bring a lot of aggression to Zest. He pops the overcharges he has. The Banelings don't really care, though, and they still run in to that pylon. That's it for overcharges. The wall is still strong, but not for long.
No, the wall is going to be broken eventually. There's a hole in the wall as well on the left side. The Phoenix is absolutely useless, and I think that this is just going to be it. I mean, the Stargate is not powered. Nurture could potentially send the Lings on top of that pylon, because if he can deny that Oracle from finishing up, I don't think that Zest can ever stabilize here.
Yeah, this is... I mean, the Lings continuing to dedicate to the natural. They could get a freebie third, but why? Why not just end the game right here?
There are so many Lings in the main as well. That's a good Zealother in a good hold position. The Oracle has finally popped. I mean, if Zest was able to somehow save the Oracle in his main Banes, will finish up morphing as well. I mean, Zest is doing whatever he can, and he's still even in workers, and he does drop another Photon Overcharge. That's actually a really insane play by Zest.
Is there a way for Zest to hold this? Because I would say, like, the freebie third is still there. The Oracle's out of energy. There still aren't many gateways at all, and of course no Photon Overcharge. I think the third is still like a gimme for Nurture, but then workers are even.
I mean, the Oracle runs out of energy, and there is no more pylons to Photon Overcharge here, so this Nexus is absolutely going to die, but Zest has not completely died yet. Does it look rough for him? Yeah, obviously. I mean, he's even in workers, but he's going to lose one of his bases. There's Queens marching across the map as well. Nurture is gonna... I don't think he has to do that.
Yeah, I don't think he has to either. That might have been...
a mistake.
Yeah, or you think it's going to sound great, and then you realize like 40 seconds later is when they finally get over there. So, yeah, it's not actually that great. I mean, this is going to be an interesting game now, though, because Zest is back on two bases. He can take a more usually timed third, I suppose, and still probably play into a macro game as Nurture catches up. But then he's going to scout the gold eventually, and he's going to have to deal with it, because I think Nurture would just send the drones he has to it.
Whenever you're Protoss in this situation, I always have the feelings like, well, if I just expand, I'm going to die, because the expand is going to be way too late. But if I all in, it's super obvious, and it's never going to work. So what do you do? I think often the better choice is still to expand, but most Protoss players are incredibly inclined to just go for the all in, because you feel like you're too far behind, so you have to go for the all in that you know is not going to work.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult position for Zest. Nurture is the one that's in control of the map, and even with an Oracle, it's only so much control of the map. Got a lot of sentries.
He takes out... Why is he shooting at the right pylon? Why? This doesn't make any sense. Why did he take out the pylon on the right first? Because that pylon actually has less HP. And he started shooting at it as well.
Sure. He saw a very good reason to do it, though, and I'm just...
Yeah, he like
still looking.
Changed his mind. Why?
Like, it didn't change the powered structures, did it? I don't know. Well, whatever.
Yeah, maybe now he doesn't have a Nartosis pylon.
I guess this is a cleaner... You know what? That side.
Everyone is confused. I wonder, I would love to ask Zest why he changed his decision. Why did one pylon have to go? Or why could the other one stay?
Well, it is going to be an expand, it looks like. I mean, if you can get some type of presence on the map more than just a single Oracle, so like a Warp Prism and an Adept that lives, hopefully forever, then that still gives you something while you expand. Nurture does have the gold base. He's back up to... He's actually going to be at 60 drones just now with 12 on the way, and he's got the crucial units. I mean, everything is looking good for Zest, or Nurture. But Zest going for a very quick robotics bay.
Yeah, I mean, Disruptors are always a great comeback tool, right? So why not? Or maybe even Colossus with all these sentries. I mean, I don't think Colossus is the greatest comeback unit anymore. The old days where you just hang in there and get a Colossus against Ling Hydra and you can still win the game. I think those days are kind of gone if you're incredibly outmined and you're behind. Like, yeah, Colossus can still be powerful, but they're not this one unit that just wipes out armies.
Yeah, no. There's a ton of force fields, though. So,
yeah.
I feel like the time buying is there,
Double robo.
You're not going to get in the natural, not going to ideally get to the third.
I want the double robo. Is this going to try to get like a... I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the Zest decides to do. Is it going to be Colossus or Disruptors? I don't know. I have a feeling it's going to be Colossus for some odd reason.
We're still going to be waiting, I guess, the Immortal to pop out. Of course, Nurchio has gone for Roaches, but also adding in those Hydras, and he has now saturated a gold base at 73 drones. I mean...
Well... What?
Okay.
I mean, he did make Colossus, to my defense. He's going to show 4 fake Colossus in the middle of the map while we have a couple of links run by, and then actually go Disruptors.
Who would believe that, though? Like, it's part of a lie making it believable.
Yeah, now these drones don't even die. That doesn't make any sense.
That was
Oh my god, his army's actually in trouble, right?
Yeah, there's
No
a mothership
choice.
to save it.
It's not here. Or is it? No, it's not here.
It's not. It's definitely not here. I mean, it could try and come right now, but of course...
What?
What?
Okay, that's so bizarre. But Nurture does win the game on Overgrowth, as Zez realized that he was perhaps too far behind, or that he committed to an army that there was just no going home anymore. Oh well, that was a surprising GG timing.
It certainly was, you know. I guess they're really... He might have thought about GGing after the third went down, but I was like, no, I'll play, and then he wasn't really committed to it anyway. Like,
Look at SOS, he's having the time of his life, and Zesto thought it was kind of funny as well, apparently.
just like, what would even happen if he did believe it was for a Colossus? You abandon the goal and nothing dies.
Maybe you'd hope that he was GG, and then in the next game, Zez would be, hey, those Colossus, or you were not lost, you know? Like,
Those Colossus were hilarious.
those were hello, you were not lost. Maybe that's what he was going for. He's like, I've been browsing Reddit, I saw a Hawk meme. I was trying to brush it out over here. This didn't work. Alright, who is going to be the next player for Team Korea? Obviously great news for Poland. Nurchill making a very decisive decision early on to go for all those links and banes, and it was the right one. As a Protoss player, you can go up to 3 bases relatively quickly, but doing it off 1 gate Stargate at 3 minutes 20 seconds, well, that can be punished, and Nurchill did punish it.
Yeah, I think he was just really hoping that Nurchio would almost like maybe even take the challenge. Like, oh, you went for a fast third base, I'll go for a fast fourth. And then, and then it's a macro game, but now Nurchio didn't have that in time, or have that in plan. I guess the kind of like the last thing you're going to mention about the gold is actually, have they have someone decided? Are they in a line?
I believe they are pretty much, I think they've pretty much figured it out, but I think we're going to see a host, maybe Letot or Funka, or someone is just going to tell us who the next player is going to be. Who do you think?
They're still talking.
Just send out innovation. Just
Yeah,
5-0.
I think it's going to be as well. I think Newkirk,
All right, guys.
PVZ, it's not
It's
terrible.
time to make a choice. Who is it going to be coming out next?
Next player is me.
All right. Good luck. I'm liking it. Zest comes right back out as an instant revive, and he's going to be on Newkirk right after the break.
Welcome back, everyone, to South Korea against Poland, and I'm liking this game already. I mean, Zest was taken out by Nurchio, and, you know, they were wondering, who should we send out again? Like, you know what? I'm going to try my luck again.
I think he decided it for himself.
Yeah.
He's probably like... I actually, like, first we were speculating, right, Jess and me? I was like, innovation, yeah, probably innovation on Newkirk. And then the moment Todd took over, I was like, next player, and I could already hear it, like, is going to be Zest. Right? I didn't think he was going to say me. I thought he was going to be like, next player is Zest. I love the way he said it as well, with like a cheeky smile. There's no other way to put it on his face. It's going to be fun. A rematch on Newkirk City. Also makes it a lot easier for us. No downtime, Funka, no
Easy
switching
peasy.
out. Zest, a real people's champion.
Exactly. He didn't take it, you know, really well to be taken out by Nurchio. He's like, nah, I can go over this again and get a different result this time.
And if you guys wonder, if you just joined us, how does this exactly work? So this is a best of 9 because it's the grand finals, which means that every nation has a revival and has an ace player, but you cannot be the same at once. So Zest cannot possibly be the ace, and obviously Nurture is going to be forced to be the revived player of Poland, as they haven't used their revival yet, and that means that it's either going to be Mana or Elaser as the ace for Poland if they would need it, or the same can be said for Korea. Either way, we are looking at the main base of our Korean Protoss, spawning on the right bottom side of Newkirk. It's Zest. I do think it's kind of a ballsy move to just immediately go again. You lose, and basically what you're saying is like, all right, mistakes were made, you got lucky, it's time to set the record straight.
I love it. I love it. That's such a great decision coming out from Zest. He wants his revenge against that guy. He's considered to be the king of Poland. For Poland, in the Zerg, in the red, in the bottom left, this is Nurture.
Doing it all for that beautiful Nation Wars trophy. Did we have a trophy last year?
Yes, we did. Yes, I believe we did. But
You made it out?
probably.
Oh no, I mean, it's Marine Lord, he's not that far away.
Yeah. Well, you know,
It's a nation.
he's in a in a location where you can lose instantly internet, so it's still a little bit far away from here. So we had to mail it. All right. So in this game, Nurture goes for the 4 hatchery on the third base location as his
again.
natural. Once again, like he doesn't want to lose any time. It's like, no, I'm not taking any of this. Just leave me alone. I'm gonna take that forward base and then gonna take my natural after that. So quite the same opening from Nurture at the moment on this map.
Not expecting the same build from Zest. I mean, maybe you could say if he would open double Oracle instead of Oracle into Phoenix, then maybe he can somehow stabilize and it's going to be a little bit easier. But I still think going up to 3 bases at 3 minutes, 20 seconds, I don't think it's suicide, but I think you're putting yourself in a very, very dicey spot if your opponent decides to be aggressive. And I love the call from Nurture, man. He looked at it, he identified it, and he's like, all right, this seems ridiculous to me. I'm going to punish you for that ridiculously greedy build. And he managed to do it. And also credits to Zest for not straight up dying. Because the last Protoss would have just straight up died. I would have died, Funka.
Okay.
Most people would die.
Zest seems to have an issue. We need to make a pause as fast as possible.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he lost his keyboard.
No.
Okay.
All right, that took a little while.
Okay, it's okay.
I love how he. I thought he was just showing off. He's like, look, no hands.
I don't need my hands on my keyboard to beat that guy.
Yeah, he's like, this game is so easy. Look at me. It's like he's riding the roller coaster. It turned out there was an issue.
Yeah, well, I think it's not the first time for Zest that he has like the issue of the keyboard disconnecting. I don't know if he has got like some sort of a curse or something, but
sometimes they use like these very traditional old keyboards because they're just so used to it. They still have like the green, how were those called? The green plugs? How's that connection
PS2.
called? PS2, they still have the PS2 plugs, and it's like, what? You guys don't have this? Like, no, most computers don't have this. Like, no, what can I do? Do you have a USB converter? It's like, oh my god. This was a real issue at Warcraft 3 events for a while, because that was kind of like the phase we all moved into USB. And then a lot of people still showed up with their PS2. And, it was like,
and they didn't have an adapter?
No, they didn't have the converter.
Oh, yeah, converter. I mean, okay, let's hope that the issue resolves itself as soon as possible. But, yeah, Zest, if he does lose again, like, how mad will he be? Like, yeah, he did get 2 points for his team, but
I don't think they will get mad unless they would lose the entire nation war. I think it doesn't truly matter to Korea how they win. Obviously, winning 5-0 would have been cool. If they win 5-2, it's fine. If they win 5-4, they probably look at each other like, whew, we dodged the bullet here. But I think as long as they win, I honestly don't think any of them is going to be upset whether one person does it all by himself or if it's a real team effort. Because they seem to be having a lot of fun. I mean, they seem to be in really good spirits.
Yeah, I'm actually really happy about that because, that's the thing. Like, you're representing your country, so you obviously will be paired up with, teamed up with some guys that you're maybe not too familiar with or not even friends with because you're not in the same team or anything, but yeah, they're having a really great time. We can see all smiles all the time. Like, even SOS was looking at him like, what was that, man?
Yeah, that's why.
It's like something I would do. Why would you ever do this?
So the final move out was awesome. I was like, what is he going to do? And then he force fields the drone. And he's like, well, this is awesome, but the Colossus will still not deal any damage. So me and Jess came to the conclusion that he was trying to pull a Huck.
Exactly. I mentioned it downstairs.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I've got, I kind of remember, a pretty famous game between Huck and Hydra.
And then maybe, like Nurture would have just tapped out and then he would have been revived. And then Zest would have said like, hey, those Colossus were hello. You were not lost.
Most of this army was Haluk.
Yeah, Haluk. You were not lost. And then Nurture replies the exact same way as Greg did. But we can't repeat those words on the broadcast.
No, not really. Not really. So,
those were beautiful days.
I've just got told by production that since Zest was obviously not playing for the last 20, 25 seconds.
That's what you get when you show off.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's showing up and then he says, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. Like, I've got a problem with my keyboard now. All seriousness, we will be starting back from replay from a couple of seconds before. So
that makes sense.
He can do whatever he wants with that Adept.
So hopefully he still has a full HP Adept.
Exactly. And could make a difference, one Adept can make a whole other difference. I remember Scarlet versus Stats. That Adept actually did a lot of work.
What was it, like 3 or 4 drones or something?
Oh, no.
Hero.
So... Stats versus Scarlet, Dassen Station. Adept cleans out 8 Zerglings.
You're talking Home Story Cup.
Yeah, Home Story Cup.
I thought you were talking about I Am Gyongi.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, I mentioned Home Story Cup. That Hero Adept. I can't believe it was the sickest game. So, do you think Zest is going to be able to do this one? Or I kind of feel natural on this one.
I think Newkirk is a tricky map for Protoss. I don't think it's necessarily easy. Obviously, a lot of Zergs will say, well, you get 3 bases, and then you turtle, and you get your fort, you get carriers, and it's a free win. Mm-hmm. I never think it's that black and white. I think, especially with, I hope that we get, seeing Nurture be hyper-aggressive in the last game. That's cool. Poland gets a win on the board. Awesome, yada, yada, yada. But what I truly love is Nurture's real ZVP. When he's in his element, when he's multitasking. And, I hate to bring it up, but, Game 5 against Neeb, flawless game, WSG. Absolutely great, awesome, super sick Zerg play. Hydra drops, fake drops. That's the kind of stuff I love. And if he does that, I wonder how many Zergs play like Nurture. Now, obviously, he did completely butcher that final fight and end up losing the game, which is truly sad because, he didn't deserve that. He played... a 10 out of 10 ZVP up to that point. I was blown away by everything he was doing. And sometimes, it's a fake drop, sometimes it's a real drop, but I love the Hydra drops. And if he brings stuff like that to the show here, I don't think Zest has a whole lot of practice against it.
Yeah, well, to be honest, there's not that many players that go that deep into I'm going to attack every single location and go for massive drops into the main. But Nurture is definitely a guy that will do that, regularly. He did that against Showtime. I remember in the finals in tours.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Because I felt like there was a time that he did it a lot. And then it's kind of sort of the multi-prong, and then it kind of stopped with it, and we saw a very different type of Nurture. It was just a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. And now he's kind of going back to the madness Nurture in ZVP. But A, I think it's very, very strong, and B, it's so much fun to watch.
It is. It is one of the greatest way of playing ZVP, and even the win that he got against Drogo to qualify to the quarterfinals was just perfection. Drogo is a guy that should be able to handle those multi-pronged aggression, but the thing is when Nurture does it, the timing of it, it's a symphony. Goes to the right side, drop to the main, you get your attention, grabbed up by this attack in your main, and then suddenly 25 lings surround your disruptors. He does that with ease. It's really, really great to see.
Yeah, no, I loved it as well. I mean, against Harsem, he also played great Whirlwind cross map, where he also went for Hydra drops in the main.
Yeah.
Obviously, looking back at that game, you lose your first 2 oracles without doing all that much. Makes it incredibly hard for Protoss to figure out where on earth is this Zerg army. But that's also credit to Nurture, because if the Hydras are not in the right position, he won't get those oracles. So Nurture, I truly think, is a fantastic ZVP player. He complains quite a bit about the matchup, but you have to take that with a grain of salt, and not the type of salt as in he's salty, but just don't take it all that serious, because these guys, they love to complain. As long as their win record is not 99.7%, there's something wrong with the matchup.
Has to be the matchup. Has to be balanced. I'm King Arthur. I'm Nurture.
It's carry as this, carry that. It was really funny during WSG. In the round of, it was not 8, so it must have been the round of 12, because we had playoffs. Either round of 12 or round of 14, whatever they had. It was Showtime against Elaser, right? And the winner would qualify for the round of 8. And for the people who say, it must be round of 16, no, a couple of players got direct berth. So I think it was round of 12.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the map veto process between Elaser and Showtime. And then Nurture just shows up. He has no business there, but he just shows up. And they're kind of discussing with each other in English, just so Showtime could hear it. And it's just this map's so bad, ZVP. This map's so bad. I can veto Vani. No, Echo's free win, carriers. Every map is just terrible. It's all free wins. And I looked at them and I was oh my God. And Showtime was just standing there, typical Showtime, chest forward, just smiled a little bit. It's you want to play a nice 35-minute game on Whirlwind? Let's do it, And it's and Eli's just in the map veto process, he pretended he already lost 2 carriers. Then the actual best of 5 played out. Not a single carrier was made. But then when he spoke to me about it, he's well, I still lost because I had to do these builds because otherwise there would have been carriers. And I was like, oh my god. I was like, I'm just going to let it go. I'm not going to say anything. But.
Yeah, you can't really say anything about this. Like, they do really want to make their point, Like, carriers are in balance, like.
And if you lose before the carriers were out, that's because you were forced to play like that, because otherwise there would have been carriers and you would have lost anyway. That's the way the Polish Zergs see the matchup.
But it's also cool, like, to see that this relationship between Laser and Nurture is just not like just on Nation Wars. Like, it goes like way over this when they're together at a major tournament. They will talk to each other and obviously troll a little bit between each other. But that's a cool thing to see. Like, it's also what makes the Polish team really really strong. I believe. Like, they've got a good synergy going on.
Yeah, no, and it's a lot of fun as well. I mean, it's pretty damn unique that two young Polish kids, I mean, Arthur is a little bit older right now, but still kind of a young guy, are just two of the best foreign Starcraft 2 players in the world, and they have that opportunity to travel to all these events and, create memories with each other and share successes as well. Alrighty, we are good to continue game number 4 between Poland and Korea. Score is still 2-1 in favor of Korea. I believe that we actually went pretty far back, by the way.
Yeah, 2 minutes apparently, but we don't really know when. Like, I noticed it when the Adept wasn't moving, and I looked at Zest's screen. But
so, how would you feel if instead of the Twilight Council, Zest decides to go for a Robo now?
That would be super meta. It's like, you know what? I couldn't move my Adept, but now I'm gonna change strategies altogether. Like, supposedly, like, you're not supposed to be able to see like the build order that the opponent choose. Yeah, he did plan down that Twilight Council.
Look at that, good guy Zest. Good guy Zest.
That you know what it reminds me of is at the beginning of 2016 in PVT, where he was building his base like exactly the same thing, the same way all the time, with the pylon and double gateway at the exact same location to avoid Reapers coming into his main and everything. Like, he's a guy that's pretty robotic to his approach to the game, because when he's got a build, when he's got like a perfect positioning of his buildings and everything, like, he will not move from them.
We see the Twilight Council, but we also see the robotics facility being warped in, so we're kind of expecting a Dark Shrine here.
Yep.
Maybe he's actually going to switch it up and go Resonating Glaze as well. It's funny because for a while all we saw was the Dark Shrine, and this definitely looks like a Dark Shrine. It's going to be one. But I got kind of sick of this build because, like, I guess like 17 PvP Z's in a row, and all 17 were this opening. I was like, okay, I get it. It's a good build, but show the Resonating Glaze some love. Show the 1-gate Stargate some love. Show Mass Stargate some love. But no, actually I haven't seen it in a while, so it's kind of cool to see it again. And I'm curious to see how Nurture is going to be able to deal with the Warp Prism and 4 Dark Templar Harass.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what he does. Obviously, Nurture will have the spores in times. He did scout the entire tech from Zest, so...
You say that, but
yes,
we assumed that one before as well.
Oh, damn. Yes. It's okay, though. But yeah, I assume that Nurture should be ready for this. Well, to be honest, at some point I remember Zest at the beginning of this build, like the trend of Protoss players going for this build. Zest was the kind of guy that was not even trying with the DTs. Like, he would straight morph into Archon. So, considering like the importance of this game, like, Nurture shouldn't skip the spores, but it's still taking a long time. But he probably has the perfect timing in mind.
Maybe okay, there is one spore. Maybe he's gonna rely on like one spore and one overseer. Obviously, if you don't make 3 spores, you're saving some resources for yourself.
Exactly.
This is actually very nice. Wow, double nice. If he's gonna be able to spread a little bit of creep as well, moving it outside. Is that spore crawler in the main though? No, there is an overseer morphing.
Okay.
It's a tiny bit late to the party though. Will Zest be able to get some serious damage done here? Maybe pick up a DT and drop it on top of the queen. Up.
Yeah,
no need.
That queen will fall, and those roaches, they are a little bit further away from that overseer. So now they need to gather up. DTs will come back, and yeah, he will pick it up in the prism. So nice damage going on for Zest here with the queen, and now double arc. This is just sick. Like,
yeah, this is great. The actually great harassment on the other side of the map with barely anything at all. I mean, well, what was it? Like 3 Zerglings picking up that first probe, and then the follow-up Overlord with that relatively fast layer dropping creep. This is excellent because that Nexus could have been more than halfway done. It's obviously very important that Zest does not lose an Archon here, but we can assume he will not.
That was perfect place from Nurture. Like, by the time he took out the probe, we saw the Overlord about to spray Ripper. He was like, nah, I should go a little bit more to the left so that Photon of a chance cannot reach me. So as you said, probably won like about 40-45 seconds
Yeah,
in that Nexus,
more.
and this is massive for Nurture.
I think it was over a minute,
Yeah.
no joke at all. I
No.
mean, now 4 more gateways are being warped in, which makes me wonder, with that Blink follow-up as well, maybe Zest had enough of these antics from Nurture, and he's like, alright, if you want to be annoying, I'll show you what is annoying, and that's some like 8 gate Blink Stalker pressure, and if you don't have enough units to deal with this, you are going to straight up die.
Yeah.
He's not building any probes either. Zest is going to be aggressive.
He will be, and for quite a long time actually, Nurture was heavily supply blocked. So now building 7 overloads, I think he picked up on the fact.
Nurture needs to produce nothing but units from this point on. If he makes an extra drone from this point on, that could very well be the end of him. He needs to start producing units. Even if he ends up losing 10-15 workers here, he's still going to be in a good position. The first 5 Hydras on the way, he's going to morph Roaches into Ravagers, but is it going to be in time? Zest is going to be able to warp in 8 Stalkers at once.
Yes, and he needs nothing but units. Nurture needs to be able to defend this for now. Not a single Whopping has been added on. Now dropping the Archons, getting 5 more Stalkers, doesn't have the resources to build more, but Nurture knows now that the attack is on the way. Can he hold on here? 3 Ravagers and a couple of Queens on
Every
the top and
second
bottom.
that goes by is so massive for Nurture, who has almost a 20 worker advantage. Maybe Cross the Balls can connect with the Prism. At least he's forcing his army back. Things are looking incredibly good for the Polish Zerg. He really doesn't have to fight off 3, but he seems so confident. He can just go back and recollect his forces, try to wait for some reinforcements. But so far, Nurture is passing the test with flying colors.
Yeah, he's playing amazingly well, and even strategically, like going for the fight instantly and seeing that the Prism was, a little bit vulnerable, getting that corrosive bile to connect, and that Prism had to fly away, and that made him like win so many important seconds to defend that attack. So right now, Nurture handling is really well, but that random drop with an Archon and 2 Stalkers finally dealing some damage, but I believe that Zest knows that he will not be able to finish the game and transition out of it.
So many low HP drones, a little bit unfortunate that. At one moment the Archon was actually stuck by the Stalker, so it couldn't shoot. But no, you're spot on, Funka. Zest has to transition. It's really not because he wants to. So now we're going to see the Desperation double Robo immediately and the Robo Bay and +1. Just get a little bit of everything at once, but eventually Nurture will attack Zest, and that's going to be incredibly hard to hold. Not to mention, like, how is Zest supposed to take a fort right now?
I don't really know. Like, Nurture already has a fort. He has some drones working here, and he also has a Spore in anticipation of potential DTs that could come in her ass. So, Nurture right now playing a really splendid game. Like, no mistakes whatsoever were made in this one. He actually realized instantly that the attack was coming, and he had the perfect amount of drones and perfect amount of units.
That's so risky what Zest was doing there, actually trying to push those Hydras away. If he ends up losing the Prism, he ends up losing more units he can't replace. He is trying to get a fort Nexus, but you are spot on. It's like these minor details that Nurture did early on, picking up that probe and then dropping creep as well. It forced Zest hands a little bit. That Immortal was a little bit exposed as well. All these units are out of position, and yes, pylons are good, but how good are they? Good enough to scare these Lynx away.
Yeah, 107 supply against 90. He will go for the fight instantly with those Zerglings, and now connected with the sentry. The corrosive bar connects majestically, and all those sentries are already going down. Those Zealots, they're running towards their death in the bottom.
And look at the HP on those 2 Immortals. It's non-existent at all. One hit will make both those Immortals die. They don't have any barriers anymore. These Zealots are just all by themselves. Zest is trying to Chrono Boost out 2 Colossus at once, but are they going to show up in time? If the Immortals fall, there is no HP on that army at all.
I believe right now Nurture needs to take out at least one base and take as many probes as he can, because I don't know if he can finish the game. The Colossus just came out. Cybernetics core was taken out. There's nothing to defend for that Colossus. Those Zerglings, can they take the fight? Can they take him out? Well, Colossus will actually defend itself. The Prism was picked off. Can he get the Nexus right here? I think that army is a little bit trapped. He can't kite out of here.
Sick hold by Zest.
That was a sick hold.
I can't believe that he held. I mean, he does not have charge, so Zest once again with his slow Zealots seems to be a little bit of a trademark as well. But those Immortals, they actually got their shields back. Colossus showing up, sort of destroying these Hydras now. Amazing hold by Zest. Man, that was so good, Fonka.
Yeah.
What the hell?
That was great. Like he was able to handle this, even though like it started with those corrosive bar connecting with the sentries. That was the worst possible opening for the fight in Zest's position. But in the end, the fourth base is still alive. He's got 57 probes and a technology with Colossus that's going to be super useful against Hydralisks.
And he's got slow zealots. You know what Zest's slow zealots can do.
We know.
They're amazing. He's got 1200 gas in the bank, but it doesn't matter. Does not want charge. We don't need no charge.
We don't need it. It would be too easy.
Yeah.
I think he believes that would be unfair, to add in charge.
He's like, David Kim is watching, and I'm gonna nerf Protoss again. You know what? I play hard mode.
He plays hard mode and probably should add a Templar Archive at some point. He can research Storm. He can make a lot of Archons too. So might drop that building at some point. The Spire is gonna come in for Nurture.
What if Zest is so meta that he doesn't get charged on purpose? Because then Zealots will run away from the Colossus and they die before the Colossus connect to the battle, and he feels they're better without charge.
That would be super meta. We need to ask that question if Zest eventually ends up winning this game, and even probably the clan war. We will see. Okay, some more Banelings here in the composition of Nurture.
Lurkers are going to be gnarly, by the way, because Colossus are really not that good against Lurkers at all. You're going to need a couple of Disruptors, and now there is a Spire on the way as well. But Zest does have Blink Stalkers, and Zest does have +1, so he should sort of be able to deal with at least a couple. That's a lot of Banelings as well. There are not that many sentries left, but the Archon's doing a really good job.
Yeah, Archons plus Colossus, pretty good units against Banelings with no support whatsoever. And this game is now totally even, and I would actually say slightly Zest favored here?
Tech-wise, yes, but I mean the Lurkers could be an issue. Is there any detection on the left top side? Yes, there is a Spore Crawler. This +2 is about to finish up. Knocking down those debris really made Zest's life a little bit easier as well. Nurture's going to try to take it out. Baneling's kind of getting sniped. Baneling's trying to get connections. Nurture a little indecisive there. You saw that. Bane's going back and forth. I do love the multi-prong though. This is the Nurture we were talking about pre-game.
Exactly. He needed that to happen, and suddenly Zest is not microing as good as he was before, losing a couple of Archons and a lot of Stalkers while losing quite a bit of economy on the third base. Nurture going back to his old antics, going for multi-prong harassment, getting 2 Archons out of here.
Good focus fire as well on a couple of those Archons. Dark Templar did manage to get a couple of drones, 6 in total. Forward blink there. What happened to those units on the north side? Nurture's actually going to bring everything back at home, maybe setting up some massive flank.
Yeah, it's looking like this, and actually there's a Colossus that's really, really vulnerable here. Gonna get taken down by those islands, but on the left, this was not good at all for Nurture. Losing so many units, he's kind of broke. And if you look at his supply right now, 88 for Zest, and all the Colossus remaining, this is gonna be tough for Nurture to hold on.
One Colossus did die. It really comes down to the engagement and the execution. The Hydra's on the right side now. Is there anything on the south side? No, there is not. Can the Hydras get close enough to these Colossus? One of them is solo on HP, but Nurture is bleeding out a lot of units.
The micro from Zest is just out of this world, and now Queens, they need to transfuse as much as they can. They will all fall, and I think Nurture will too. GG!
What a sick game by Zest. What? That was amazing, Funka. That was really, really amazing.
He was down and out of this game.
What a hold early on. Such a rough start, being down 20 workers, being forced to go for this almost like semi-2-base on lane. Yes, he has a third Nexus, but he wasn't building any workers. Really didn't get anything done at all. The counterattack looked devastating, but he somehow defended. Amazing. I have no words for it. Like, that was not supposed to happen.
Yeah, that was not supposed to happen. Zest handled that like perfectly, and I also believe that Nurture was a tiny bit indecisive on this one because he was getting surrounded a little bit, and I feel like if he takes out the Nexus, if he takes out, like if he decides on what he wants to kill, and he was like more in a way of I'm gonna win this game, and I felt like he should have taken a decision earlier, but obviously like Zest being as cool as possible. Like, how did he defend that? Like, he was building Colossus, but he didn't have any by the time that fight started.
And you know what made that even more impressive for me is that whenever you play Protoss, like obviously if you have your army in one ball, that's where the true Protoss power shines. But the moment you have a couple of units on the north side, then you have to defend your natural, and you also have to worry about your third base and your probes and stuff. That means that your mouse and your screen has to be all over the place.
Exactly.
And it's like Protoss units are not good if you're not looking at them. I mean, some people will say, oh, A move. Like, no, you need to drop force fields. You need to micro your Blink Stalkers back, because if they just A move, they take terrible trades. So I have no idea how he handled that, but somehow he got the job done. Incredibly impressive performance by Zest.
And you can't zoom out as a player. You
No,
can do
I
it
know,
as an
like-
observer, but not as a player. And that makes that defense, as you said, like even more impressive. This was really, really great from Zest, and a tough loss for Nurture, but as the rules are working in the finals, we should be seeing Nurture revived instantly.
Yes.
will
Otherwise, then we were misinformed, but that is not going to be the case. Nurture has to be the revived player, so I don't think we really need to go to them as a camera either. He's maybe just getting a little bit of advice from his teammates. And
Exactly.
That's obviously what Nationwide is all about. This is not a one-man tournament. Give each other some feedback, some encouraging words. We know how Arthur is about. He's probably beating himself up a little bit. He's like, damn, that's the second throw, there's really no other way to put it, that I've had in ZVP in like, a week straight. One in WESG, and that was a very, very expensive one.
It was.
But this was also a painful one, because 2-2 or 1-3, that's a world of difference.
Obviously, and making a really, really great statement in ZVP in general.
Yeah.
If he does take out Zest 2-0 in a LAN setup, like offline setup, suddenly it's like, okay, that Nurture guy has what it takes maybe to take on Korea right there. But this is not over yet. The revive has been used. Nurture is gonna come out. So once again, a best of 3 within the best of 9 between those two players. And the Blizzard Entertainment EU esports team is watching Nation Wars 4.
So
much passion.
Hashtag passion. Well, we know Mr. Orbitz is watching, so there's always hashtag passion.
Yeah.
Hey guys, remember me? Well, that long-legged friend actually saved the day there for Zest, because I don't even think that a disruptor would save the day, because then you have like one shot and then like that's it, right? And then like Nurture splits his units, and then there's a second disruptor, splits his units, but then there is still too much Hydra, too many Ravagers. It was supposed to end there. Like I'm stunned, Funka. Like those.
I would like to see this game like once again,
Yeah.
and maybe through
First-person
Zest,
view
yeah.
of Zest. Like
POV of Zest. Like, how did he handle that?
Yeah,
like, you have to make so many decisions in those kind of situations, because as you mentioned, you can't micro everything at the same time. It's like literally not possible in terms of human skills and human mechanics.
Like
you can't
multitasking
really do it.
is basically a lie, because at the end of the day, no matter how many things you do them one by one.
Exactly.
So like he still had to do them one by one. Stunned.
Yeah.
Incredible performance by this young man spawning on the left bottom side of Daybreak. He put Korea up 3-1 in the finals of the Starcraft 2 Nation Wars Season 4. It's Zest.
Pulled off an amazing defense, and now probably his opponent might be a little shaken up. He did throw that game a little bit, and let's hope he doesn't think about it too much, because for Poland, as the Red Zerg in the top right, he needs to make a difference. He is Nurture.
We talk a lot about the initial hold. I also thought the hold later on against the multi-prong aggression from Nurture was also incredibly good.
Yeah.
And then there are flanking Hydras, and then Zest pulls away a Colossus with like 10 HP, keeps that one alive as well. The shields regenerate. Don't forget about those two Immortals that I think lived throughout the entirety of the game, that were both one hit away from dying. Whew, crazy plays from Zest.
Yeah, Zest kept his cool and was able to prioritize like the right thing when he was on the back foot, and this is pretty sweet.
Look
from
at that drone.
Zest.
It's like, hey, get out of my neighborhood. 1 minute
Quit it.
patch, that's annoying enough. But 2, that actually means that Nurture's like barely mining.
And we're talking about close patches too, so
Yeah.
that's a really nice position to
Yeah.
actually abuse on this map. That's the first time I've seen
Yeah,
it.
same here. I've never seen it being used on 2 patches at once. Like, once again, if you do stuff like this, like, this looks really cool and it's very effective, but I would still don't try this at home, because you're going to end up with 700 minerals. Like, this is the way it is. We know it.
Hey, you actually made the other guy lose like what?
Look-
About like
look at
50
Zest.
minerals, but you're losing the game at the opposite
Yeah.
side. No, Zest has perfect macro and perfect micro on that probe at the opposite side of the map, and this is already hurting Nurture a little bit. And yeah, keep in mind, like, those players, they are human, and when they get annoyed like this at the beginning of the game, that's something that puts you on life tilt.
I do think that Daybreak is a map where Nurture is excellent on.
Oh, yeah.
And we've seen him play some great games against Drogo. We saw him play a great game against Neep, other than that fight in the middle. So I don't think all hope is lost just yet. But for Poland to still make this a very competitive final, I do think it's important that Nurcho takes Zest out here, and then you're looking at a 3-2 score, and anything is possible.
Yeah, and another opportunity for Nurcho to maybe get another game going for himself and actually test the waters against Innovation.
Yeah,
you also want to see that, like, you know, even if he does lose, like, you get a little bit of information, maybe you tire Innovation a little bit, but also, yeah, like, you're wondering, should I throw a Protoss? Like, should we revive Mana? Should we go with the laser? Considering the state of PvT right now, I would say that Mana is probably not the good answer, but we could be surprised.
Next map would be Vani, so Nurcho against Innovation on Vani would obviously be fantastic for all of us. Because I think one of the best games, and it pains me to say it, throughout this entire Nationwide Season 4 was actually Nurcho Utermo on Vani.
It was a great game.
I thought that was a fantastic match.
Yeah, it's a really good map. I think it produced quite a sizable amount of games that were really top-notch quality.
Yeah. Showtime against Cham was a lot of fun to watch on that one.
Oh yeah, it was.
Drogo against Cham was fun. Poor Cham ends up on the losing end, but you know, they were good games. I'm sorry,
You still
Cham.
make it for great games, mate.
I'm
You're
sorry.
losing, but you know, not everybody's losing on this one. We're enjoying ourselves.
Talking about Scarlet against Swordov on Vani, that was sick, fantastic.
Yeah, that was the sickest game indeed. So this time, yeah, Zest is not gonna go for that crazy third base. Like, Nurture was still waiting on it. Like, are you gonna do the same mistake again because I'm gonna punish you like I did on Overgrowth? But that's not the case. We see the infamous quadruple drop with the DTs here that will transition into Archons. You know that build, we're not gonna lose any time with this. The first initial defense from Nurture against it was almost perfect, I would say.
I mean, it wasn't necessarily the defense, it was mostly the minor offense on the other side of the map, picking up this probe. But you can already see Zest making a small adjustment as well. It's like, I'm not going to lose my probe to 2 links. But obviously, the longer that Zest waits, the bigger the chance is that there will be creep dropped here again. And then this Overlord is going to be annoying. He's going to drop 2 pylons. Where's the Overseer? The Overseer is not in place. Is he morphing it? Yeah, he is morphing it.
He's losing so many DPS, so much DPS actually on that extractor. He could have started working on a spawning pool or even the lair.
Yeah, maybe he could have taken out the pool, but I think getting a guaranteed extractor is absolutely not that bad. And I love this as well. This time Nurture was the one who was occupied on the other side of the map, so no creep is being dropped. Look at the improvement that Zest shows from Newkirk to Daybreak. He was like, hey, those moves you made on Newkirk, they were really cute, but that ain't gonna work again.
Yeah, this is just like beautiful Starcraft and beautiful adaptation coming out from Zest.
He really wants that roach.
Oh, and he gets it. Zest showing off his micro and his basic fundamentals here in this game with a really, really cute macro at the same time, but also like almost perfect execution on this Prism Morass. So going for the blink once again, but didn't cut prop production on this one.
This time, I mean, obviously he was able to get his Nexus at a reasonable time. Don't forget that previous game, the Nexus went down past 6 minutes, I believe. Like 5:55 or past 6 minutes. Has to be a little bit careful here with the Prism, but the Prism still has plenty of HP. The Queen took a little bit of a beating, but will still breathe as well. So things going well for Zest. I think this is kind of what he's always aiming for when he goes for this opening. At first, a little bit of lost mining time. You force out some detection and you delay the fort, you keep the Zerg busy. Meanwhile, everything on your side of the map goes smoothly.
I like that addition of an Observer to get those Crypt Tumors out of the way. And once again, we'll pick up those 2 Archons, not losing anything in the process. We'll scout that 4th base. Zest is playing this game beautifully for now, but not... Nacho is not out of it yet, like for sure, but I like the way Zest is handling everything from now, like not making any mistakes.
Yeah, but I also like the way that Nurture didn't overproduce units. He's on 75 drones. It's a little bit unfortunate for Nurture that his fort is a tiny bit late. So he has all these drones, and I'm not even sure if he has like a good spot for all of them. Probably has like minor oversaturation somewhere, maybe at the 3rd. Well, actually, it's pretty perfect. So it's honestly not that bad. He's long distance mining a tiny bit though. So the fort could have been faster, but other than that, it's definitely not bad. These roaches are a little bit clumped up, so these Archons are getting a couple of pretty good shots off. Look at Zest. He's having so much fun today.
The decision making coming out from Zest in every, like, you've got to have like the perfect execution to do this, but you also need to be able to do it at the right time if you take like the right decision. And this time it's like, okay, this is clumped up, I can get a lot of damage done, so that's when I'm gonna actually use my APM to build on to build that damage up. So I'm just liking what Zest is doing. Like, his decision making has been pristine ever since the last game.
There is a big mistake though, Funka.
What is it? He's making charge.
Exactly.
What the hell?
Yeah, I know. I feel like Zest is out of his element. Like, he has had a 100% win rate record when he's not making charge. You know, in the other game, in the Home Story Cup game, he went wrong because eventually he got charged, and that's when it all went southwards. You know, like, previous game, no charge, flawless victory.
Those 200 gas actually bit him in the ass. Like,
Man, he did warp in a crazy amount of DTs though in the end. Like, he's warping in like 8 DTs at a time on Newkirk.
That was sick. That was just a crazy game. So this time, the Prism will actually drop down those Archons and we'll go towards the south end to probably get a little bit of harassment down towards that third base, probably with the depths or even Zell charge actually. When the charge is going to finish up, we'll see what he decides to go for. +2 is on the way, but also Hydra range and movement at the moment.
Yep, Nurcho is getting ready for some multi-prong aggression. There are a couple of force fields available though, so he has to be very careful. I love this setup as well with the gateways. These pylons are incredibly well protected. It's going to be hard to bust this Protoss army here, but Nurcho is not giving up yet. He doesn't have any drop alerts this time, and we'd love to see a few.
Yeah, it's a frontal fight going out from Nurcho with a lot of Hydrolis. Nice time warp if it does get in place, and now it is. And those Hydrolis, they can't really come back. They can't really go out of this fight, and now losing quite a bit more against those Stalkers, and obviously those Immortals dealing quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, the Mothership Core does fall in the end, but Nurcho lost a lot of units there. He does have 79 drones. Maybe he can pick off a couple of these Zealots. That's the downside of charge, man. It is run too far forward. Like, I'm actually sold on the no charge build. I'm gonna try it. So now Nurcho is getting a Lurker then. He's getting a Baning Nest as well, because I guess he saw charge and he's like, alright, having a couple of Banings in the mix is going to be awesome. But the big question is, did Nurcho lose too much there without getting really anything done?
I find it interesting that he doesn't go for the drop alerts this game.
He's researching it now.
Oh, easy?
Yeah,
okay.
At least the Overlord speed.
Okay, Overlord speed. That should transition into some drops later on. That Prism needs to go back. There's a couple of Hydraulics going to Spore, waiting for it. Oh, that's nice. He's going to try to go for an interception, but right now, actually, the Prism is safe and sound over the dead space here.
I really like this defensive setup, by the way, from Zest with the cannon, with the pylons and the gateways as well, making it just a little bit harder. See a Stargate being wiped in now as well in the main base. He wiped in a couple of DTs in the right bottom side. Where did he wipe them in? No,
I think it's like Archons in the middle for his army. I will see if he decides to. Yeah, okay. Let's go for the Archons. Is this Archon gonna get blocked between the pylon and cannon?
I was looking at that as well. Maybe one of this Archon on the right, because it got pushed a little bit. I think it's stuck, huh? Yeah, that one.
I think it's stuck.
But he does have a prism.
Hey.
It's pretty far out of position, but he does have a prism.
Isn't his defense even greater now? Will the two cannons
will he scout this, though? I mean, I think he scouted it with something. I thought he scouted it with something. He has absolutely no idea, and this is actually going to make it a pretty damn hard defense. Zest's units are actually moving towards the north side of the map, so they're incredibly far out of position. And what is Zest going to do?
Okay, Zest is going to cancel that base, but he's going to get dropped in his main. Super hard. Mass Hydraulics towards the main. Forge super exposed, and Zest will go for the counter-attack instantly. This game is going to get a hell of a lot of hectic here.
Yep, Forge will be sniped as well, so no +3, no baning speed though for Nurture. This is going to get incredibly weird. Does he have any lurkers? I don't think so. Nurture's actually going to try to defend it, but obviously so many of his units are on the other side of the map. He does get an Archon almost immediately.
That's a good first original defense, I think. Yeah, the Warp Prism is actually going to go towards his death, and now the Hydraulics actually managed to get a pretty decent fight, and on the opposite side of the map, Nurture is speeding things up. He's getting all the gateways and Robo and DT Shrine. Nurture is making it happen. Those Immortals, they don't stand a chance against that many Hydraulics. Nurture, once again playing a pristine game. Mana is ecstatic. Look at this man. Poland will fight back, and Nurture will win his best of 3 against Zest, I believe.
Yep, Zealots will show up and maybe be able to get a little bit of damage done. Look at the money. Zest has a lot of money, but he can't spend it. He lost all of his production facilities. He has a couple of gateways left, but he needs more, and it's just Zealots for now. And look at these Hydras. Sparta holding the line. Incredible.
Yeah, we mentioned the decision-making coming out from Zest, but this time, Nurture's speeding things up. Now the probes come into the fight. Better just meet for those Hydraulics. They get destroyed instantly. GG! Nurture gets the win, and the Hope are still really alive against Korea here.
We got a series on our hands. We're looking at a real final, Funka. That's where I was trying to go with it. It's making it close. Nurture makes it 3-2 right now. Still in favor of Korea. But obviously anything is still possible.
Whoa, Elaser even giving the thumbs down. Will we see SOS? Will we see innovation this time?
Vani Research Station is going to be our next map. I feel, because I feel like right now things are getting real, right?
Yeah,
Because you send out SOS here, they already revived. I'd say, and then, like, you can send out Inno now, and if you would lose, you can still send out SOS, and you could still revive innovation as well. So it would definitely make a lot of sense for Team Korea to send out the machine here. And now I want to see what happens when a king goes up against the machine.
Oh yeah, king versus machine could be the next matchup considering the map. And I believe that Korea has already reached the decision. Look at Johan Merlo right here. He's waiting for me to throw at him.
That was a Roddy pose. You saw
that was
not
a Roddy. That was a great one.
Yeah, I know.
That was a great
Todd
one.
is actually killing me at my own game.
Todd, are we ready with the teams? I believe we are. Okay, Todd, tell me everything.
They looked ready, but they're still talking, so let's find out who is it going to be next. Zest, SOS, or Innovation coming out?
Next player, innovation.
All right, it's time for the machine to come out. So we're going to head to a break, and then when we come back, Innovation will be taking on Nurture in a much anticipated match here. Welcome back, everybody, to Nation Wars 4. This is the grand finals, and Nurture just brought it back here with a nice win over Zest on Daybreak.
Yeah.
And now Innovation, the big guns coming out to punish Poland. That's probably something you would say if we had given them like a proper interview. After what he said before facing Germany, like... He definitely would have said something like that.
Something like that, yeah. The Innovation's going to be a fierce opponent. Obviously, Nurture looks great against Protoss, so SOS wasn't exactly, I guess, the expected one to come out, but send out Innovation. Always going to be a scary deal. Of course, Net Wars, cheering for Poland. Nurture revived and looking dapper. Dapper? It's not over till it's over. Go Poland. Another good Photoshop, I do say.
It's far from over, actually, because even if Nurture loses here, there's still another player to be revived, which would be either Mana or a Laser. So, whereas for Korea, I mean, they've still got Innovation right now. If he loses, then SOS will be next no matter what, and then they could revive either SOS or Innovation as the ace.
Yeah, exactly. So if Nurture lost, that's actually it for him.
It's not that complicated, right?
It's not.
If Nurture loses here, he cannot be revived again because he was the instant revive. So the ace would have to be Mana or Laser.
Exactly. And of course, like, I think they took that into account when they were like kind of going through when they were going to send out the next opponents. And it's probably planned out for them, but I think a lot of people are pinning their hopes on Nurture, even if they do have to go to an ace. I'm not sure that anyone's quite as hopeful of Mana or Laser come out, even if they're both really great. Nurture obviously is the favorite for Poland, but same way as Innovation probably is the favorite for Korea. I mean, Zest did well, obviously. Like, he did actually very well, except that Overgrowth game is a little bit questionable, but other than that, he did well. But Innovation is, I still think, the next level. Different matchup, too. So maybe jar Nurture up a little bit.
I'm a big fan of Nurture's versus Terran, though. For the longest time, he was super scary. Maybe a little bit less so as of late. I remember, like, once upon a time, he would just go in Europe. Even not just in the European scene, in the WCS region, right? Even against guys like Bolt and stuff, I thought he was doing really well. He would just go Roach, Ravager, couple Infestors, and go straight into Ultras with double Evo upgrades.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, he just wouldn't lose almost ever. Then he went to Korea for a tournament. Was it Kespa Cup or... Yeah, I think it was Kespa Cup.
Yeah.
And he lost to Maru. That game on King Sejong Station, like a long game, and he ended up kind of falling apart. And then since that, he hasn't necessarily looked that invincible anymore, but he's still extremely good in the matchup. Like his Roach production, his defense is always on point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's absolutely still good at ZVT, but it is like, I still feel that Nurture is kind of hanging on to the old ZVT. Like, you brought up exactly what he does and what he usually does, so some form of, double upgrades into a point is like fast ultras, whether it's Roaches or Lings, Infestor, or what have you. But a lot of other Zergs have really gone and adapted into what the Koreans have been doing for a long time, which is, of course, Mito Ling Bling, or just Ling Baneling, maybe Infestors. So.
Where's the mech ovation, by the way? Like, on his stream, he does it all the time, and he looks so good.
Yeah, I mean, I would really have hoped to have seen one mech game, but maybe just doesn't feel too confident in it against the likes of Nurture.
Did we have the map somewhere?
We did, and then they must
Somebody
have taken
took
them away.
it away?
Again, they just took it away.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I definitely don't remember. What map are we on anyway?
I don't know.
6 or 7? 6? 5?
Maybe Whirlwind?
No, I can't do math. I think it actually.
Oh,
so
funny.
I think it's Whirlwind after this then.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, and then Echo and then Overgrowth. I want to say.
Actually, this is one of the maps where when I tuned it a couple times onto Innovation Stream, he was just like destroying Bjol and like all these Zerg guys with Cyclone Hellbat builds, where like he basically never stops making Cyclones up until the point he wins.
Yeah, Cyclone's pretty good. Yeah, he just doesn't show that much in Nation Wars, so I don't know if he only feels like doing it on ladder, and that's like the time that he like mixes things up, or he just really doesn't like the opponents he's going up against. But Vani, actually a lot of Zergs do not like this map against Terran, but we'll see what happens. In the top position as the Blue Terran for South Korea, it is the Machine Innovation.
Pressure of playing for South Korea. And his opponents playing as the Red Zerg. It's of course Nerchio. Going for an early extractor there actually. As the first building that he gets. Maybe worried a little bit about some sort of Reaper play, which out of Innovation is not impossible.
It's not impossible. I think it's unlikely. Out of all the Korean Terrans that were doing it, like there was like a period, like a month, where it was like every Korean Terran was doing it. Innovation actually wasn't one of them, but it always still is a threat. Obviously, the one bad thing about Vani is if you go for it, you don't have the option of the 2 lings being sent across the map because the command center goes in the natural, right? So, I don't know. We'll see what he does with it, and if it was just paranoia, I mean, it's the early game. It doesn't affect it like so badly, but it would suck if that was what he's expecting. And I actually think that if that's what he's expecting, then maybe he doesn't know Innovation that well, which would surprise me.
I have to say, Nerchio's been really impressive, even though he lost that one game against Zest on Newkirk.
Right.
I thought he should have maybe somehow won it, like just the way he played it. So it looks like it's going to be a Roach Ravager rush.
Yeah.
Most likely with mostly just a few Ravagers with which you break your opponent's wall. And if you can force that barracks back, work on the add-on. And funny enough, actually, I think it was maybe yesterday, Nerchio played against SOS's off race on this map in the same matchup. SOS was there, and then Nerchio did that. He broke the wall. And then later on, he did a Zergling run-by. SOS being a Protoss player, he didn't re-wall. And then later, a Zergling run-by killed him. So
yeah. So this actually makes a lot of... This is something that Nerchio was doing, but I really thought it was because he was facing so many European Terrans that were 3-Rax Kings, basically, where you could get the yearly pool, defend, and you could go for this Roach Ravager attack. He was actually doing very well with it as well. Against Innovation, he would love for him not to scout this, of course, and to be going for Factory into Hellions, because, Roach is pretty good against Hellions, and maybe something greedier beyond that, like a 3rd CC.
It's more than just a few Roaches, actually. I think he went up to 6 here. I didn't expect him to make this many. I thought like 4 Ravagers by themselves might be the number.
Those Lings really should not have forced the Reaper back. I don't. The Reaper actually get a scout. It was on the left side of the hatchery, but I'm not sure if it scouted the Roach or it did not. And I think that you still have to retreat, but at least you go back in once the Reaper is full on health. But to actually pull it back entirely because 2 Lings got past a wall they should not have.
Yeah, great split on those used Lings here. Might be. No, not going to be able to get that mule. Barely not. Whoa, that was close.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
And then here's the Overlord to spot on the high grounds. Innovation's not going to have that much strong units here against this. I guess you'd like to have a Cyclone. Maybe spots it, which is nice.
You don't want anything besides Reactor Hellions. He's going to get a Liberator to help out, but obviously Ravagers can take care of that technically. And there won't be much counter attack either, even if he does hold.
He gets a Hellion here. That should not have happened. Nerchio going straight away for that Reactor here with his Corrosive Bite. He's going to try to break through that wall to move up in here. Innovation might be forced to pull SCVs here, in which case you will lose a lot of these guys.
Yeah, this is really, really good for Nerchio, but, I mean, to predict that these things would happen can be kind of risky. 5 SCVs go down in the Corrosive Biles. He does get surrounded on one of the Roaches, but those Roaches are tanky. And Innovation is losing SCV after SCV with no actual end in sight. The Liberator's going to pop out, but they just avoid the Liberator.
And behind this, Nerchio is droning up safely. He could start on working on another base. He's already up to 31 drones against 17 SCVs, and he's going to kill way more. Go straight for that Cyclone. As it comes out, he gets it. And then steps outside of the area of the Liberator. GG gets called. Nerchio with the flawless victory here on Vani. against Korea's strongest player on paper, Innovation.
Yeah. I was worried about Nurchio maybe not knowing Innovation, but actually it was Innovation. I didn't really know Nurchio. So Nurchio with the plan all along. Again, I think it's risky to predict that the Reaper won't scout the Roachhorn, because then double Cyclones is actually very good against it, but it worked out. Those two Lings did get into the main base. They did take the Reaper back. Like, it worked out exactly, I think, as any Zerg player would want with that exact same build, and, I mean, kudos to Nurchio for doing it. Now he continues the rampage for Poland.
And now SOS has to come out for South Korea.
Yeah?
Who wasn't very successful earlier in his match.
No.
Gonna have
Yeah.
to get a chance at redemption, much like me against Moment. Let's hope it goes better for him. I'm glad, by the way, this game's inspired some people, because Nurchio in the previous game against Protoss, against Zest, that was a little bit of a Moment-esque attack, just a kind of mass unit and went for it. So
Yeah.
in this case, it's funny, like he's kind of amused, but also embarrassed by it.
Yeah, right? I don't know if SOS is going to do so well, to be honest. I mean, ZVP obviously is something that Nurchio is now familiar with, warmed up against, and good against. And SOS did not have a very good game as his opener. I mean, I'm sure he's looking for some revenge. Like, I didn't just get tagged along because I was a replacement. I can actually contribute, but I think it's going to be really difficult.
Where is SOS?
It's a good question. Maybe he already went to the
Okay,
booth. I don't know.
he must be around, and yeah, he's gonna be the next player here no matter what. So another ZVP in the works, and maybe he can work some of his old magic up against Nurchio, who right now is looking super strong. Like I said, even that game that Nurchio lost on Newkirk against Zest, I think he played fantastic in it, and then he beat Zest in the next game on Daybreak, and then now Innovation, like. He's on a roll, and at this point, South Korea must be starting a little bit of a feeling of déjà vu from last Nation Wars, where they lost in the grand finals, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. It's a little bit better than that 5-0, but I think they, well, depending on how SOS does, the revived Innovation is still a threat, even if Nurchio got him once, right? Like, maybe not again, and maybe not on other maps either. The next map is going to be Whirlwind. We were correct in that guess, although it's also the last map available, so I could have done process of elimination. But, yeah, Whirlwind ZVP, I think another thing that actually favors Nurchio, besides all the things I just already listed. So, this is going to be pretty nice.
It could be good, but against somebody as crazy as SOS, though, it can get cheeky very fast.
That's
if
true.
you're not careful.
Yeah. But is there $100,000 on the line or not? 'Cause I don't know if SOS is actually going to take the win.
There is his country's pride, and also
much more
shame
important.
if he loses.
It's the shame of his teammates. Although they're not one to shame right now, right? He's been forced out. He wasn't the one that chose to go out. So I don't know. I think maybe they thought there's different rules, but yeah, it's SOS absolutely. There's no other choice. So he is going to get set up in the booth, and Nurchio, of course, already nice and comfy, is looking quite dominant. I think the maps, I guess, is also going to be Echo after this, and then Overgrowth for that final map.
Yeah, which we will see again, because we only have 7 maps in the map pool. But yeah, SOS here, a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He's playing a man on fire. He hasn't particularly been, I think, playing in the last few hours, because he's been watching the match. So he's playing a guy who's feeling it, warm, got momentum right now. So definitely gonna not have to waste any time and get right in there, get in the zone, because Nurchio really is feeling it right now. And I'm starting to believe a little bit for Poland. It looked bleak at first, but Nurchio really bringing things back here once.
Yes, he is, and everyone anticipated him to do so. But in the manner that he did it, there's definitely a lot of maybes for both sides. I actually think maybe, like, if he ends up taking it all, and that would be fantastic and obviously awesome for Nurchio, would be like, man, but I should have won that Newkirk game. That would have been faster. It is getting kind of late, and I know that Innovation, I was going to say, like, Innovation, you can't blame, different server or anything like that, but he was, like, falling asleep. He's actually brushing his teeth before his game.
A lot of people were, to be honest. He later took a nap between one of the games. And then woke up to, like, the final fights.
Yeah, I think Scarlett's still taking a nap, actually, in a room. So
this poor gamer, no stamina.
Right, exactly. Like, I have to be watching every single game, totally on point. I know exactly what happened, even if I wasn't casting.
And here we are with the easy job, casting all day.
Let's ignite that old war, casters versus players. Well, it is SOS. You have some statistics. Not very many, of course, as he is... I've been playing in Nation Wars up until the offline finals.
The most important one is down there, career gain.
Yeah.
One of the earningest players of all time in Starcraft. Over 400,000, not bad at all.
No, it's not bad at all.
I wonder what he bought with it.
I feel like it'd be...
house?
SOS might give a bit more of an interesting answer than some other ones. Like, who was it that bought, like, their mom a car? Was it, like, Lenok, I think? I think that might have been like an MLG. They're like, what are you doing with the money? Because you're 16, super young. And he was like, well, my mom wanted a car. Someone like that. But otherwise, it's been like investing, and then, well, I guess you hear rumors about what other people do with the prize money. So it seems the type of guy that maybe buys like a couple round of drinks, but then does put the rest in the savings.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you shouldn't save money forever, right? Like, you might as well use it if you have it. Especially if you have this much, just invest in an apartment or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. I think MC did something like that.
Invest in an apartment? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he bought some sort of housing. If I remember right.
Just
and
really
he won even more than that. He won over 500,000.
Did he? Wow. Didn't know the numbers. But yeah, that's impressive stuff. So SOS obviously is like a veteran. We all knew that already. But I just, we haven't seen him in Nation Wars. We haven't seen his form recently. And Nerchio is in good form, and we know that. So.
I feel like actually in a lot of tournaments, for a lot of players, it's even more about pride and to be able to say that they won than the actual money. Like, obviously the money is very important as well, but it's not the one thing that all of these guys play for.
Absolutely.
As opposed to, for example, in fighting sports, like a lot of fighters, they will say they don't even like training and stuff. They just do it for the money. Here, pride is super important. Now we're in a tournament where you actually represent your country. It's a pretty big deal, I think, for a lot of these guys. They know that there's going to be a lot of their fellow countrymen watching and cheering for them. So really comes into play as well.
Yeah. I think there may be a couple of like pro gamers in the past that have said in like an interview, like, it was the only thing I was good at, so I just keep doing it. But yeah, I think there's a lot more just like the passion and maybe like not even thinking about the money until already, they're holding that trophy and feeling the bask of glory. But I don't know. I know SOS has been smiling all day, so Innovation has been borderline napping in his stool in every best of. And if SS has actually just been like laughing, watching VODs, actually trying to talk to all the foreigners, which is amazing. Hearing like French people try and speak Korean in a French accent, and him, of course, trying to speak English back to them because they don't know any French at all. It works out. I got some tweets coming in. The King, Nerchio, disagrees with Korea's 5-0 prediction. Well, that's true.
He did more than just disagree.
Yeah.
He just put a stop to it, a complete stop.
Yeah, he did. Everyone's going to be cheering for Nerchio here to continue his reign, even though Poland has one more chance after the King falls. I think people are calling a laser the Prince of Laser. But it's still, I think, a lot of hopes and dreams of the Polish fans on this guy here. So you watch them set up.
I wonder how SOS is going to play like here. Whirlwind, like... I guess Adepts with Glaives can be very good.
Sure.
It's also like it can get kind of hard to scout if you don't get lucky early on. And Nerchio doesn't necessarily strike me as the type of guy that will go for Pneumatized Carapace to make sure he gets a scout. If he doesn't do that against somebody as tricky as SOS, it can get very dangerous. Then again, SOS, we've mentioned that before, he's very capable of playing super standard, kind of like, Zess 4DT opener.
Right.
And just a third base and then throwing different timings, but I wouldn't put it past SOS to just go for chaos or something. Actually, even in the games that had the highest stakes, and now again it's a pretty important one because even though they could revive one more here, South Korea, it obviously for them would be very bad if SOS lost now because then Poland has even crazier and better momentum.
Right, a lot of momentum as well as just like evening things up, right? Like no one wants to be in that position. They want to have that nice, comfy 2 lives, I guess, to go back on. So. Nerchio has actually never been one of the Zergs to go for fast Pneumatized Carapace, I don't think. Like a lot of other Zergs, like Snoot, obviously very safe players, always going for it. Nerchio would just be like, no, I can like read other signals, and he could. Like that wasn't actually a wrong thing for him. He just saved the money.
7 Adepts in your middle line is not a signal you should wait for, but here we are on Whirlwinds. The score is 3-3, all tied up in this best of 9, starting at the bottom left-hand side of the map, playing as the Blue Protoss. It is SOS. Already with the early scouts.
Yes, very early. And he's counting correctly, I believe. On the top left, I think it's safe to say this guy's on fire at this point. It is the Red Zerg, Nerchio.
Also headed in the right direction. It's his first Overlord.
Very nice.
I wouldn't have put it past SOS to just go for Nexus first, no scout here in this game. Like, he's that kind of guy. But in this case, it's just going to be a very safe gate in the wall of the natural gas and then Nexus shortly behind it.
Yeah, actually the way that Zest played in the very first game of the day on Habitation is what I would have expected of SOS to play with the Forge and the Carriers. But Whirlwind's obviously a much more difficult map to get that kind of trickiness going. Whirlwind's, it's got open areas for maybe drops. It does have a lot of space, and it has apparently an easy enough wall off, but Nurture or the SOS is going ahead and going the low ground wall off, but it just doesn't provide that like same trickery that Habitation Station does. Habitation Station, as I fumble over my words, 8 hours in does no gold base. Not quite the same as a Baneling drop for opportunity. It might just be like a straight up macro
The
game.
craziest thing you can do, I guess, is some sort of hidden base, as far as macro goes, or like a super
true.
quick third still would be fairly normal. But yeah, from SOS you can expect pretty much anything. Even if he could even bring out like some sort of Void Ray build. He was like the original guy that played with like, remember Void Ray Charge Lot into High Templar and all that, made that style really good. Against somebody like Nurture though, wouldn't be the best. Nurture's very good at getting a lot of Roaches, Ravager, Hydrali Scout, and then when it goes up to Lurkers, actually, I'm gonna say it, I think Nurture is the best Zerg in the world at his big army usage for Zerg who has a lot of Lurkers, because I've always seen him make the most of it. Like, he drops in the main, he does stuff that no other Zergs do pretty much.
Yeah.
With this.
Actually, speaking of the drops in the main, right? Like that last game was pretty much determined by that. It forced Zest to go for the all-in, the base trade. He's already so committed on the other side of Daybreak, and that is something that Nurture was doing a lot actually in the past. And I was like, oh, that's right. Nurture does these drops like Mass Hydras and also with Lurkers.
The crazy thing is that it looks so obvious and so easy, but most Zergs, they would just kind of sit there and be like, oh, Protoss is so OP, and then just kind of die, right? But not Nurture, no. He really makes the most of all these situations.
A lot of praise for this guy. SOS, we just don't have a lot to pull back from, right? Like, he lost the one game that he played so far, and that's not much to be said about that. But he's going to open up with an Oracle here on Whirlwinds. Going to get that scouting, and not going to be nearly as greedy as his Protoss brethren. Not going to go for that 330, 320 Nexus. Maybe pretty dangerous on Whirlwind. Nurture does that on his third base and gets a relatively quick Evolution Chamber.
Yeah, probably for some upgrades. I don't think he particularly wants to drop here. Nurture, what did he scout actually so far?
Not much.
Yeah.
Just the natural.
Like we mentioned, he didn't go for Pneumatized Carapace, so he hasn't put too much effort. He's actually upgrading an Overlord to drop, I think, or what is that?
I think he's just making it.
Oh yeah, no, he's
right. Yeah, the damn skin does look kind of...
Yeah, it was like the Evo's not finished yet.
Amazing. Yeah, the Oracle was not scouted, but it was a safety Spore Crawler put in the main base, which ended up being really nice for Nurture.
Takes a bit of damage there.
Yeah, and the Lings deny the probe. Probe just like, nope, out of there.
Okay, it's actually +1 melee, so a big hint that Nurture might want to play with a ton of Zerglings, maybe some Baneling drops as well, as he's getting that. Which actually surprises me that he's not going for Pneumatized Carapace yet, but maybe he can just add that later. He's making a ton of links right now, and I think he's going to try to go for a cancel on that third base, knowing that SOS might not have enough against it.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's going to dedicate it as much, of course, as he did versus Zest, because that was a much greedier third base, and I don't know if he's going to make any Banelings, although he has the Baneling Nest. I thought if he had some Pneumatized Carapace. Yeah.
Usually when you go for this kind of attack, you'd also try to go for a drop at the same time, but now with his Overlord being sniped, oh, he tries to go for a run back. SOS reacts a little bit late. This is a disaster because now SOS is going to commit with the Adepts across the map. Nurture knows that this is coming, so he's making a ton of units, and SOS is going to take a massive economic damage here.
Yeah, I think so. The Lings are cleaned up pretty well on the main base, but of course SOS, while cleaning everything up, is kind of miscontrolling his Adepts. They just kind of stayed around. They probably won't be splitting very well, and Banelings are also already on the way. The Natural still has to be evacuated. Well, the numbers aren't too big. The Chaos is certainly there.
I mean, there's 4 Queens as well to help with this.
Yeah,
Nurture can even evacuate with drones, and then he wouldn't lose any. This is insane. 42 drones to 34 probes, and he's still putting in work here. Killing more and more of these guys, +1 melee, will finish very soon as well, which is going to be great for Nurture. He might just commit with more and more links here to try and snap that third base of SOS, and then drone up from there.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good option. His +1's going to be finishing, and it's going to be perfect. The Photon Overcharges are also used, so I'm not sure he has any more. Actually don't know where it is.
Dark Shrine is dropped. I think SOS realizes that he's starting to fall very far behind, and he has to do something drastic. There is already Spores out there, but I think he realized that the lair finished late as well, and that third base is toast.
It is. It's absolutely gone. And SOS, I think, recognized that very quickly, but it still sucks to lose it like he did. Letting those Lings into the Natural in the main base really just started kind of a snowball effect, one that Nurture is absolutely taking advantage of and also playing safe beyond. Like, sure, the Dark Templars could get maybe a surprise on one of these Spore Crawlers, but probably not for long. The lair will be done. And he's going to also get Roaches and really just have a safe army.
I really don't see Nurture losing this anymore here. Like, He doesn't even have to attack, but he's still gonna go for it anyway, even dropping a lot of these queens on top of this army right there. There is only one overcharge to work with right now, and I'm pretty sure that Pylon will die here very soon. Transfuses are available as well. Oracle will come back.
That's silly. If there wasn't an overcharge, I think that maybe Nurtio just breaks him right here, right now. But the force fields ended up being pretty good. He's going to be able to save the queens or start microing the queens even with that Overlord drop. And he did not fully wall off, so the Lings come in. They're trapped for a second, but there's the pickup on the queens.
You could actually, I think he's going to send Lynx in the main and then redrop the queens in the natural. And Nurtio has just been absolutely masterful. What are we watching?
I
The
don't
one
know.
Overlord there picking up everything.
This feels a bit like True, right? Like on King Sejong. It may be like a tiniest bit trolly too, but I think it's just a really effective tactic. Like these queens do not die fast enough, so they just kill the probes as long as you target fire, and that's exactly what he did. And he's gonna be able to leave and bring them back. You know, they can start spreading creep, start larva injecting.
This game is looking more like what Emil, the Polish caster, would dream of what Poland would look like than actual reality here. This is insanity. Behind this Nurtio, he has a massive drone count. All he has to do is make units, and he can finish this. And Korea will be forced to revive either Innovation or SOS, which I think we all agree is most likely going to be Innovation.
Yeah, I know. SOS did not have a strong enough performance. I mean, it's still not quite over, but unless he has like the most miracle almost comeback or should have comeback, it's got to be Innovation. 'Cause Innovation's probably shaking his head like, I wish I had the revive after that first game. Stupid cheesy. All in, but Nurtio still has to end it. Yeah, exactly. Fool me twice. Nurtio still has to end it, or maybe SOS will end it for him just by moving in. He has a recall, so I guess, it's not quite all in. It's dangerous for certain, as he does lose a sentry right there. There goes the recall, finally.
I think he was hoping Nurtio would be droning up like a man. I don't think SOS realized how far behind he actually is. Like that. I mean, he's about to be hit by way too much, way more than he can handle there. And Nurtio, he always makes the best use of his drops as well, but here he might not even need to. What a sick game. What an insane performance by Nurtio, picking at the right time here in the grand finals and putting South Korea in a lot of trouble. I really don't know how SOS is supposed to hold this attack here. He's probably going to rely on DTs, but they're overseers.
So the force field available, so I guess the roaches aren't going to be getting in there, but damn. They could just start picking off the sentries individually. There's enough roaches for sure. Really not any potent overcharges. And the adepts, they're going to try and protect their lights, or the sentry counterparts, but it's just buying time, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think... Can he even get probes over here? Does he even have probes then over there? He's got a Mortal finally on the way out, but it's going to be coming from, I think, the natural, so...
I love the Ravagers to break some of these force fields there. He's going to do just that. Maybe pull back here while the overcharge is up. Doesn't even need to here. 88 army supply to 43. SOS down to his last few forces in one last-ditch effort. He's going to try to defend that third base, but there's just going to be too much here for him.
Wow.
And Poland.
Wow. Korea actually going to be down a game and on their last life. GG is finally typed, and Nurtio continues his win streak.
Continues his reign here in Nation Wars, taking the lead over South Korea, forcing their last player out. Going into this match, I don't think too many people necessarily thought that this was gonna be happening, and these guys are starting to feel it. Elaser and Matt are loving this. They're just watching on the sidelines, knowing that they still got their own ace available later if they want to as well, if Nurtio was to somehow lose in the next match.
Yeah, somehow. He seems unbeatable as of now, but it is going to most likely be Innovation. SOS is still an option. Zest no longer an option at all, but they will have to discuss, I suppose, or maybe not much. Seems like they're already decided. Or maybe they're gonna put on a show. SOS, I guess maybe Whirlwind. There's possibilities. I don't like Whirlwind. Let's go on a different map. But I really think it's gonna be Innovation.
Yeah, it has to be. You would think. They look ready. Let's head to the hosts without waiting any longer. Funka, who is it?
Okay, so as I said earlier, it's down to the wire. We need an ace player for Korea right now, and I'm gonna ask Zest, who is it gonna be?
Ace player, Innovation.
We knew it was about to happen. Innovation is the revive player, the ace player for Korea. Can they actually take down King Nurtio, King Arthur, Well, the answer is going to be after a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Starcraft 2 Nation Wars, brought to you by O Gaming and Blizzard for the final time, Todd. No matter what happens, there won't be any more breaks. It's all from here to the finish. And we're looking at a scoreline that I really did not predict, especially not after how this final began.
Yeah, I have to say I'm a little bit baffled there. Nurture's performance is just out of this world, and he's giving it his everything. And right now, Poland really is feeling it. They get to face the final boss, though.
Yep.
As much as he already beat him, it was in a very unconventional. I don't expect Innovation to go down like that twice. Usually, the time he gets revived is the time he says, "All right,
Enough is
we've
enough."
had our fun. Yeah, enough is enough." And much like he said against Germany, if you don't have the skills to back it up, you might as well be good at running your mouth. And in this case, he will start dealing some good damage. But Nurture, the momentum that he's riding right now, is actually insane. The thing is, though, right now, it would feel even better for Poland if Nurture could be revived later on as an ace, but that's not possible. If he loses here, it's actually either Laser or Mana coming out to then face Innovation in our final map. So hopefully, I guess the best case scenario, Nurture does it now, right?
Yep. I mean, it would be insane. Poland taking Korea out 5-3 in the grand finals. I was incredibly worried for them when they were down 0-2. I was even more worried when they were down 1-3, when it really felt that, Nurture could have potentially won Newkirk.
Literally.
That's awesome, by the way, because Red Eye was already tweeting at the very beginning of this broadcast. So, Red Eye, massive shout out to you. Literally still have all the passion, Todd.
Sickest passion from this guy.
Yeah. I love it. Keep the tweets coming, guys. Hashtag NW4. We should have time to show a few more. And, the people at Twitter, they suddenly seem incredibly knowledgeable because they predicted a Poland victory. I think I predicted 5-3 in favor of Korea, so I'm already out of the race. I know you did 5-4, so you can still be right, technically, if the machine does it. But I'm just very happy overall, Todd. I'm happy that we have a very competitive, close final. Whether it will be Poland or Korea truly does not matter to me.
Nobody likes a 5-0.
No.
Except last season.
Yeah, I mean, for you guys, that was fun. But, that was fun as well because it was an upset. But if it's a 5-0 victory for the favorite, that's always a little bit boring because then it's just the stomp that people were predicting. And then nobody's happy. I'm amazed by some of the things I've seen in this final. The game that Zest won on Newkirk I thought was fantastic. I thought he was super down and out. But then Nurture on Daybreak after that first attack, I was kind of worried for him. I really felt he didn't get enough done. The map that we are going to see right now is going to be Echo. And this could very well be the final map of Nation War Season 4. And what an upset that would be, Todd. Poland 5-3 over Korea. Can King Arthur do it all by himself?
I guess it's time to find out here. We're playing on Overgrowth and starting in the bottom right-hand side of the map, playing as the blue turn. It's going to be Innovation. The final boss. Because Innovation.
That is super appropriate right now. And over here on the left top side of Echo, we're looking at the man who's already taken out 2 players and made it to the GSL Codas round of 16. Can he do it one more time? It's King Arthur himself, Nurture. You know what's funny as well is that Nurture in the past sometimes came in a little bit cocky. You remember going to Casper Cup as well. He was making pretty big tweets. And today he was kind of humble, right? In the beginning he's like, I have a lot of faith in my team. I really have no idea how I'm going to perform today. He kind of made it sound like he wasn't totally feeling it, like he wasn't on his A game.
I think he probably was not. He was quite convincing. He really seemed to see that Elaser was doing better right now than him, but... And sure, Elaser played very well earlier in their first match, but this time around, it's really Nurture that's been doing a lot there. And these guys are feeling it, and I'm pretty sure they're thinking the same. Neither of us wants to play
Don't do this to us, Arthur. You called yourself King Arthur, now live up to the hype. Would be a fantastic victory, of course, for Poland. Traditionally a very strong nation in RTS. That's once again a pretty damn fast Roach Warren.
And mining a ton of gas. Nurture knowing here that even if he loses, Poland still has a chance, might be taking a risk.
It's going to be a big one. Obviously, we have a second barracks as a follow-up this time, so Innovation is going to switch things up. It's not going to be a factory. No reactor Hellions this time. He's even going to keep the Reaper at home in the beginning, perhaps, wondering that maybe Nurture would have opened up an early push, send a couple of links across the map, doesn't want to end up losing his SCV that's building the SCC. Innovation knows that it's everything or nothing right now for Korea and no room for errors. He cannot make any more mistakes. And seeing your command center being delayed in the beginning of the game for 30-40 seconds is just not acceptable if you want to play a flawless game.
Yeah, he's going for a second barracks plus a factory, though, which is definitely better, I think, against this than going for the starport, because last time that was totally useless. Even that Liberator came out, he died without shooting even a single unit. So I think that's probably better, obviously, for Innovation, that he has gone for that build. But still, it's when you don't see this coming, even if you're sort of preparing a little bit better than the previous time, it's such a dangerous attack. And now he's going to see it coming here. Nice timing here for that Reaper.
Well, he can throw up a bunker immediately, and the first Marauder is immediately on the way as well. So this is obviously going to make this a lot more doable for Innovation. But even with this build order, this doesn't mean that it's all over for Nurture. This doesn't mean that this is the end of the game and he won't do any damage. It truly all comes down to execution. No add-ons yet on this factory, so he's not going to be able to produce a tank, but I mean, he will be safe with the bunker and should be able to repair it. But if he ends up losing 8 or 9 SCVs, that would still be way too much.
Actually standing up the ramp there instead of camping inside that bunker. I think he wants to force some corrosive pile ideally, and then pull back, loses one Marine here.
Yep. Now actually the Marauder can't get in because 3 Marines hopped into the bunker immediately, so Innovation's going to have to be a little bit careful. No room for arrows once again. Corrosive Vow is actually on the north side, so the bunker is still going to live. Picks off a roach
there. He needs to shoot that behind to try and get those SCVs there if he can, but then he will be maybe in range for this bunker to shoot, preventing some mining time. But I don't think Innovation mines too much because he's got that second orbital and he's going to be able to resume mining soon. Oh, he needs to react. They're actually losing 2 SCVs. That's not good when you only have 23 or 25 at the time.
And don't forget, whenever that orbital is floating, he's obviously not able to produce workers, while Nurture on the other side of the map is producing drones. But neither player doing something crazy here. Innovation defending as safe and perhaps clean as possible, other than losing those 2 SCVs. And Nurture not overcommitting with his roaches and ravagers either.
This double medivac timing here, though, with Marauders, Marines, and Steam Pack is going to be incredibly scary for Nurture to defend against. Look at the reaction time.
Saves that roach as well, can potentially morph it into a Ravager, so it will once again be on full HP. But you're right, Nurture's going to have to rely on Queens. I'm not sure how many Queens we're currently looking at. Obviously the layer is going to be incredibly late because of this opening.
And there isn't much crease spread or overlords. I think like on the top hand side of the map he has a couple to spot medivacs if they were to fly into his natural.
If Nurture's going to try to defend on the low ground, that's very risky. If Innovation just stims forward and pops a couple of those Ravagers immediately with focus fire, that could very well be the end. This is risky by Nurture. I think he knocked down the cooling tower there. Yes, pretty much. Well, did a little bit of damage. Didn't knock it totally down. Okay, yeah, he did knock it down. But Innovation's going to stim. How many units are there here? There's a couple of Queens. Innovation actually respecting this Zerg army, so he's going to change his priorities. He's going to try to take out this hatchery. Instead, pick up these units, perhaps go to the main. No, he's going to trick Nurture and unload on the low ground again.
Nice fake here. Pulling back immediately once again. Dropping off on the high ground. Nurture is going to be so hard for him to... I mean, it's going to keep on happening, right? The yo-yo between the main and third base. Oh, the Queen!
That would have been so big for Nurture, but he does not get the medevac yet. The other medevac died. SOS is ecstatic about it.
Relief.
Yep. Zest there as well. I love how they're still smiling, by the way, despite the fact that the tournament life is on the line. A couple of links pop. It's very important for Nurture. He keeps his alive. One medevac does finally fall.
So that's going to be some of these units being trapped there because he can't pick up everything, but Innovation...
That hatch is running incredibly low on HP. Innovation will get it.
Nice micro here.
Yep.
Prioritizing the hatchery, getting that 1-1 upgrades now on the way for Terran player. Nurture, though, still ahead on the drone counts. Will probably restart that base pretty much immediately. He's got Lair on the way. So he reacted like in the best way he could with the circumstances after the failed rush early on.
Yeah, it could have been worse, but it's obviously not nice, and it's still going to be very hard for Nurture to defend the follow-up. Once again, you mentioned the creep threat before. It's pretty much non-existent, and that's going to make this even scarier for the Polish Zerg, as Innovation will soon be able to truly start pushing when he's going to have 1-1 upgrades as well, and the first tanks are out.
I wonder what the banter is like between Zest and SOS.
They're like, oh, come on, don't let him do this to us.
Zest is like, you're definitely the worst player on Team Korea. And SOS is like, well, I've won way more money than you, so...
Zest has won quite a bit as well in his life, no?
Well, not as much as 400,000,
No.
I tell you that.
SOS wins the one that truly matters. But yeah, today definitely wasn't the day of SOS. Well, Nurcho Steel making 8 roaches now at once. He has double Evo chambers trying to crank out those upgrades, but they're going to be quite late. So Innovation is going to have a massive upgrade advantage. This is going to be a really tough hold. He's going to need some magical corrosive valves, Johan.
Yeah, and Innovation definitely won't be looking to let that happen. Pulls back just on time every single time. Re-engages with a ton of Marines here. And those Queens, they're not doing that much here. Loses them all, and it looks like Innovation might be forcing the last player out of Poland out here with this attack.
Yeah, as the roaches just die, so these Ravages are suddenly awfully exposed. A couple of reinforcements do show up for Nurcho, so he's still sort of hanging in there, and he didn't really lose that many drones. He pulled a couple. He's going to end up losing a few more, though, and don't forget, Innovation can still pick up these units and perhaps go into the main base as well. A single Queen is obviously not going to be enough. There is a Spore as well, so these Medivacs are taking a little bit of damage.
The machine has been activated. He didn't have to go back in time like a Terminator, because they got the revive here, and Innovation gets a chance at redemption.
Oh, the Queen!
And he seizes it here so far in this game with doing some really good damage. It's not over yet, but it's looking very good for him right now. I think knowing that there could be a counterattack, he's going to be setting up with the tanks perfectly. He's got 2-2 on the way. I love the way Innovation has played this.
Yep, he's even ahead in workers. I mean, that's always a dream scenario for any Terran to be in. Was able to do, once again, a little bit of economic damage. The only thing Nurture does have is at least he's on double Evo, Johan, so he can sort of catch up. But if you look at those 2 upgrades from Innovation, they're already almost halfway done. We're going to see Burrow, maybe some burrowed Infestors and a Dream. Maybe that's the comeback tool here for Nurture.
I guess it's like one of his only chances. Like when you're stuck on these many roaches, you might as well go for it. Hope that the Terran doesn't have a turret, in which case you can most definitely steal a lot of these games. But I don't know about Innovation forgetting to make a turret.
Or even just in the middle of the map, right? Like having his entire army clumped up. It's unlikely that a fungal like that will connect, but obviously desperate times call for desperate matches. A couple of those balls do connect. Tank takes a little bit of damage. But look at this army of Innovation. It's very, very impressive for this phase in the game. And Nurcho really is not working with all that much. He's trying to get a few more roaches out, but I think this could very well be the end if Innovation truly presses the issue. And look at that infestation pit. It's so exposed as well.
It's a sick timing too, just before the Infestors are going to be properly set up. There is going to be Burrow.
Maybe he wants to wait for 2-2.
I mean, he wants to wait for Infestors here. If he lands a fungal on all of these Marines and Medivacs.
I meant Inno.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't want to rush in there, I think, on Creep either.
No, I mean,
like properly speeding, he's waiting for reinforcements. He's actually rallying every single unit that he's making right now across the map to make sure that this push keeps on getting stronger and stronger. Scans gets one of these Infestors there. Infested Terran are going to be used. And Nurture will stream right in there with all of his forces, but it looks like Innovation just has too much.
Yeah, a couple of decent corrosive balls, but there is too much firepower in this Terran army. GG, Innovation evens up the score. And it's all gonna come down to that final game in this epic best of 9 between Korea and Poland. And who is going to be the opponent of Innovation? That's what I'm truly wondering about right now, Todd. Is it going to be Mana, or will they send out Elazer? Nurcho did whatever he could. The King absolutely did deliver in this best of 9. But it's all gonna come down to one final match. I'm pumped.
Neither Mana or Elazer look like they want to be going out right now, but one of them will have to here.
But this is one of these moments, though, where you can become a legend. If you lose, Todd, you lose a best of 1 against Innovation. Nobody's going to blame you for it. Look at Team Poland. They're like, oh, look at Elazer. He's like, I guess it has to be me.
Last map's going to be Overgrowth. I think has to be Elazer.
I don't know. I kind of feel Mana. I feel like Mana's more the veteran here. Elazer is still kind of the young kid on the block. Maybe he feels like he can do it.
Roddy. Mana plays Protoss.
I know, but even Protoss players can make dreams come true. Magic is real, Todd.
When your name is SOS, maybe. But I really don't think it could be Mana. Like,
I don't know. Like I also feel that PvT, even though it's a rough matchup for Protoss right now, there is still that off chance that you find something that is like kind of exposed, that you can get something going for yourself.
Like,
I know.
I'm not really picturing it, right?
Yeah, but like, what makes you think that Elazer feels really good about going up against Innovation?
He doesn't, but he doesn't feel as bad as Mana.
Maybe they should just flip a coin, roll the dice, you know. 7 out. First one to roll 7 goes up against Innovation. That's how Mr. Bitter would handle this, that's for sure.
Alright, they look about ready. Do they? No, they're still talking. Let's give them the rest of the time there.
This
All
time,
the growth, man. The final map, that's super important too. Like, I could picture either of these guys going up against Innovation on this map, but again, Mana has been very vocal. He's thrown his headset around. He's said some words. We've seen the Twitch highlights, all of us.
but this is the moment to just put that all to the side. Just get the job done one time. Like King Arthur. I like this as well, because this time I truly feel that Team Poland has a very real decision. It's rough, right? Like you often say, like you have to choose between the lesser of two evils. But I believe that Team Poland has made their decision. They've got 10 seconds to go. So I believe our host is ready. Take it away, Funka. We want to know who's going to be the final player of Poland.
All right, guys. I know this is a really, really tough decision, but I need to know who's going to be closing it out for Poland.
Well, everyone knows that PVT is very hard, and that's why we're sending Elaser.
All right, Elaser is the last hope for Poland, and he's going to be taking out Innovation. Do you want to say a word before Elaser? No, you good? Stay focused. Makes sense. We're not going to go into a break. Elaser is going to set himself up as fast as possible, and we're going to get starting with that 9th and final game of Starcraft 2 Nation Wars 4th edition.
All right, there we go. I mean, we were not going to go to a break. Todd, it's 30 minutes past 1 here in Paris. It's been a very long day of StarCraft, but we saw a lot of awesome games. And I am so incredibly happy that it's going to go to, Game 9 in a best of 9. That's obviously the best it could ever be for us. Yeah, it is the dream.
Other than France winning 5-0, it's the dream, yeah.
That was your dream. Mine was different. Mine was the same, but
Netherlands.
the flag was turned sideways. That was my dream. It was pretty similar, but... Instead of Marine Lord, we had a U-Thermal. Anyways, that's a different dimension. Maybe one day. Maybe Nation War.
The one in which I beat Moman in the show match.
Exactly, the alternate one. Guys, we want to make a final call. Send the tweets out. Who do you think is going to take it? Innovation or Elaser? Hashtag NW4. This would be a great moment for Elaser. He's still a very young player. Obviously, he had a fantastic 2016.
Can you imagine the pressure? Like, that's so sick.
Do you think there is that much pressure? I mean, yeah, it's a massive game, but it's innovation.
But a lot of people are watching. Like, you want to win really bad,
of course.
Right? As a player there, you want to do your country proud. Like, sure, like nobody will flame you super hard if you lose like the last game against Innovation. But at the same time, there's so much to gain. It feels like, right?
I think the hardest thing here. This is the end of Poland.
And a cyclone.
They should have put him in the cyclone. Kind of looks
that
like
would be sick, actually.
Kind of looks like a little marauder. I mean, there's always somebody who's incredibly creative out there that can make it happen and can make our dreams come true. Even Innovation looks...
Even here, it looks like he's piloting a cyclone.
I felt like Team Korea was all smiles before. And even after they were down 4-3, they were still kind of smiling. But I felt like the happy smiles and like kind of awkward smiles kind of turned into slightly nervous smiles. Did we really come in? There's a big price difference between first and second place as well. First place team will walk away with $15,000. Second place walks away with $7,500. Literally double, Todd. Never do math on stream. Just did it. Flawless. You know what? The one thing that I feel that perhaps Elaser feels the most pressure for or about is mostly that when it comes to ZVT, he also likes his weird and wonky openings. He also loves the Roach Rush. He also loves the Ravager Rush. But we just saw that twice. So can you really do that again? But if you don't do that, then how is he suddenly going to play this ZVT against, arguably the best Terran vs. Zerg player in the world?
I think we all remember, too, at BlizzCon, how he kind of fell apart. He played against TY and just, like,
2 very short games.
Looked quite horrible. Then played well again in Bit Solar. Then played well again in Bit Showtime. But then when, again, he played against the big Korean name in Dark, again, like, it was maybe the most one-sided series in the tournament with his TY. He had the 2 most one-sided series in the tournament, which is obviously not good. But
Beyond against Violet also wasn't incredible.
I feel like it has to be a mental thing too, because the way he was talking about it, he's like, I can't beat this guy and stuff. But now he can't be thinking that. That would be so bad.
And it's a best of 1 as well, so perhaps he feels that the dream is a little bit more realistic. But best of 1.
He tried to rush too with against TY.
Yeah,
right? Like
2 very, very short ones.
Yeah.
There was one on Dasan, which I believe was a roach
I really
rush.
hope we don't see that.
No.
That would go bad.
Perhaps, I mean, you saw the faces that he was making as well, and that wasn't fake. That's obviously, like, he's definitely feeling it, like the stress. Maybe not necessarily the pressure of, like, okay, I have to do this, but even more just like, do I want to do the builds that I often do, but then take another risk of playing, like, a disastrous ZVT on a big stage with the whole world watching? It's hard. I don't envy him right now, Todd. I'm happy to sit here and just cast the game. And I'm happy with the entire Season 4. I think we had an awesome time here at Starcraft 2 Nation Wars. Can't thank Blizzard enough for making this possible. Without them, it really wouldn't be possible. And obviously, huge shout out to our gaming as well for taking great care of us. They bring us...
Putting up with us.
They bring... How is it called again? The crepes or something?
Crepe.
Crepe. They bring us crepes with Nutella. It's amazing.
They were gone in 5 minutes, mate. I had never seen anything like that.
I still didn't take one today.
You know, Tid walked in there earlier and he was like, oh, Nutella. What is it for? And I was like, you're a little bit late. About 12 hours later.
and that's when he knew he messed up.
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
It's been really fun to be here. It was interesting. This time was a little bit different, more traveling back and forth, and it was a little bit more split up. You know, we wrapped up the round of 8 quite some time ago, like roughly 10, 11 days ago. In between, we had a massive Starcraft tournament in China, and now we continued. But I definitely think that Season 4 has been fun, and I'm looking forward to all the highlights next year when we look back at Season 4 and like, man, we had a pretty good time again.
Yeah.
There was no drunk Apollo, but we still had a great time.
And next time, I'm not playing any show match because I'm fed up.
You want me to avenge you, Todd?
Yeah, you should. Like, you know, Moment too. He was like saying, "I beat you in the last Nation Wars. I beat you in this one. I'll beat you in the next one." And stuff. I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, never gonna hear the end of it. I'm impressed though. He played very good.
It was fun. It was fun to watch for us as well.
And I'm impressed by Poland as well, putting up a hell of a fight against South Korea here. As much as, you know, we keep mentioning like South Korea, they've lost in the last season in the grand finals. Again, it was late for them. He was online. Marine Lord played super sick, sure, but there were some circumstances. Now, I guess technically it's a little bit late, but they've been on the time zone here. They've not necessarily been going to bed super early either.
And I also think one very important factor to mention is that last year, Legacy of the Void just came out.
Yeah.
So a lot of people looked at it as like, well, you know, they may be able to keep up with the Koreans now, but that's just because the Koreans haven't truly figured it out yet, and it's just a matter of time before the gap is going to be massive again. And we're not suddenly going to say that there is no gap, because obviously if you watch Maru, like I watched Maru play last week, then it's sickening how incredibly good that kid is. And you have TY, you have Beyond and Dark, and those guys are truly one of a kind. But it's amazing to see, you know, players like Showtime, like Nerdjo, really giving the best Koreans out there a good run for their money as well.
Did you laugh when you saw I was in the Maru intro video, by the way?
I actually didn't see it, Todd.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No, I didn't see it. It was very hard for me to watch the stream whenever I was not casting.
Okay. But you didn't... It wasn't showed on air?
No, I'm pretty sure it was showed, but I couldn't watch it.
All right. I see how it is.
I did my best. I'm sure you
Staying
did great.
away from... Oh, yeah, I did. All right, here we go. Final map here in this Nation Wars 4. Poland against South Korea. And starting in the bottom left-hand side of the map, playing for that team, South Korea. It is, of course, Innovation.
The machine.
Look at him. He has no pulse.
He looked funny as well after he lost. He's like, oh my god, that just happened. Like, is this all happening? He's like, nah. And over here on the right top side, Todd, he's doing it again. Can you believe it? After BlizzCon, he's not phased. He's taking a risk. He's rolling the dice over here. He's representing Poland. It's Laser. That's actually, you know, takes some big cojones, Todd, to go for this again after he had that series against TY that everybody was talking about and how bad it looked. He is taking a massive risk. Laser tried this build multiple times at Habitation Station at WESG. He said it's incredibly insane. It arrives so fast. Obviously, this is super all-in. It's the fastest Roach Ravager rush you can imagine.
I think he was probably hoping Innovation wouldn't scout, which he hasn't yet. And
maybe he keeps the Reaper at home as well.
Yeah, exactly. In which case he will be a disaster, I think, for him.
Well, I mean, the rally point is set for now, but we saw it in the previous game. He changed the rally point. This would be sick. I mean, a lot of Zergs tried it. Scarlet tried this as well against Maru, I believe it was, on Habitation. It didn't work that game, but the rally points were a little bit messed up and a couple of mistakes were made. Let's see if Laser can get it done. This is the build he loves on Habitation Station, but Overgrowth is obviously a tiny bit longer. Everything or nothing, Todd. One best of one. Is it going to be Poland? Is it going to be Korea? The Reaper will run across the map. It is a double barracks opening, by the way, for Innovation. So he's going to have access to more builds. But once again, this is a different build order than we saw in the previous game.
And morphing the Ravagers back at home there for Elaser. Yeah, he's how many is he going to keep, you think? Is he going to morph as many as he can?
He's going to have to show it immediately. Here comes the Reaper. The Reaper lives. Innovation is probably like, what the hell? Look at Zest and SOS. They're like, yeah, he's scouted. That means that his bunker is going to go up.
They're still smiling, but in a different way now. And Elaser will head across the map. Maybe he can try and take some damage on these roaches at the front and then pull them back, morph them into Ravagers, and just snowball with the Ravager count, I think, from there as well.
Yeah, this is really important, buying a little bit of time. This is still not over yet, though. It comes down to execution. Elaser is going to show up with Ravagers so incredibly quick. That's a good grenade as well. He's going to be able to get the bunker. It's going to be awfully close. He does kill the SCV, but more SCVs are here, and the bunker will finish up. One Ravager took a lot of damage.
Oh, he almost loses that. Needs to pull it back just on time there. Gonna be spamming this corrosive, but actually get some SCVs there.
I mean, there is no ramp here, Todd, so it's still going to be a tiny bit hard. It's really important to keep the HP on the Ravagers.
Yeah, he can just keep on spamming the corrosive ball from behind. Oh, he loses one of the Ravagers, but gets the bunker. Grenade lands. Let's see if he can do more here with this. This is so tense. Roaches are going to keep on streaming, and Steam Pack is now on the way, as well as Marauders.
The Overlord is also very, very important. I don't think there's another Overlord nearby, so this Overlord needs to provide high ground vision. Otherwise, these Ravagers will eat way too much damage. Corrosive balls rain down, the reactor falls, the supply depot falls, and the Smalls have been replaced by kind of concerned faces. They're like, what on earth are we watching? What is this crazy Polish Zerg player doing?
Is this working? He's going to supply block him if he gets this depot here in a minute. 30 out of 30! Oh my god!
This orbital is starting to take quite a bit of damage as well. More roaches and Ravagers are running across the map. Nercho is laughing, Mana is laughing. Look at the orbital, Todd. It's starting to burn. It's going to be very hard to repair it. But these Ravagers are so low on HP. Once again, the Overlord is very, very important. Innovation.
I don't think Innovation can fight.
What do you think?
There's so many Ravagers.
More bunkers on the high ground. Look at the orbital. The orbital's going to fall. Oh my god, it's one base against one base right now.
And it's going to be super supply blocked here behind this. Elaser still not showing any sign of wanting to expand. He's completely all in with this. He's going to continue with more and more Ravagers. Spam this corrosive pile. Try to have some of them lands.
It's a surprise there is no bunker on the high ground. Maybe he feels it's useless against all these corrosive balls. It's so important. It really comes down to micro. Stim Pack is more than halfway down though, Todd. And it's still hard for Elaser to run up this ramp. 36 army supply against 17.
Yeah, but this army packs a punch, a hell of a punch there, and he's on the high ground. Steam Pack still not finished yet. A couple seconds away. Innovation will lose most of his army before it finishes. Loses SCVs as well. Elaser really making the most of this build here.
This is a ridiculous ending to the Starcraft 2 Nation War Season 4. The bunker is almost finishing up and Stim has finished up. It's 14 drones against 14 SCVs, now 15. But there is Stim and Marauders with Stim. Like you said, Todd, they pack one hell of a punch. Combat Shield being researched now as well. What a bizarre game.
Yeah, Elaser doesn't know about this team. If he overextends there, he might end up getting chased down and losing everything. He started Burrow for a second, but then immediately cancelled after. That was a mistake. He's just going to get more and more Ravagers. He's completely all in. Zest is praying.
They're starting to look quite pleased again, Johan. They're starting to feel it. They think that Innovation is slowly but steady stabilizing. There is a factory on the way as well. I mean, with that bunker...
Can't he shoot that bunker with corrosive pile from the low ground, you think?
Yeah, I think he can, but I think he's very worried about losing his Overlord. He could obviously rally another Overlord, kind of like the backup Overlord. He has one more Overlord on the north side, but that's going to be a little bit out of place. He knows, well, Stim is ready. Innovation has to be careful. I mean,
both of them, like... It could go south for either player super quick here.
If he stims forward, I don't know. That's a lot of Ravagers, though. Innovation's got to stim forward, though. It all comes down to this, but that's a lot of Ravagers. Good micro by Innovation gets a couple, but also ends up losing a couple of bio units. One more Marauder.
I think if Innovation knew how in shambles the economy of Elaser is, he would have just taken to Medivac and taken it slow.
Oh my god.
Elaser off the ramp quite easily, and Elaser is going to deal a ton of damage to these units and snipe so many SCVs as well.
But the SCVs are going to be able to soak up a lot of damage as well, though. The focus fire has to be excellent. There's only a couple of Marauders remaining, 17 in army supply against 11. Can Elaser take care of these last Marauders? It doesn't seem to be the case, but only corrosive ball, maybe one more SCV falls, no. So somehow Innovation defense.
Yeah, 7 SCVs against 14 drones.
What?
Let's go into a macro game and split the map, Roddy.
I don't know what we're watching, Todd. I mean,
and there's no quit still. He's not gonna stop. Like Elaser is still completely going all in with this.
Stim being used. One Marine does get picked up.
Okay, this It's time to abort.
Two Ravages absolutely not going to be enough, but maybe Elazer can just try to regroup his forces.
And Elazer looks phased here. He just sighed. Just because he has no queen and no real economy, he's mining a lot of gas. He's got 8 drones on minerals. That's nothing.
Yeah, it's so hard, right? Because if he goes back to droning, then Innovation can get Medivacs out, and then the game is over. But obviously doing it right now, it's also quite hard.
He has no starport though. But I guess Mules kind of even out the walker counts, and now Innovation's making SCVs again. Elazer will still commit to this build here to try and end the game somehow.
One misclick from Innovation though, and it can still be all over. One stim forward that he shouldn't have made, eating one corrosive ball. But it's starting to look better and better for Korea, as the army supplies are closer than they were in the previous fight. But I do think that Innovation is not going to go down anymore. There's no need, right? He has a factory. He could potentially get another Cyclone out, maybe eventually even a tank, and then maybe float over the CC. And let's not forget, if they mine out their main bases, this is Legacy of the Void. Obviously, they're super low in economy, but 8 minutes into the game, your main is starting to run a little bit dry already. Is that reactor in range? Yes, it is.
Yeah. He could get that over time, maybe force a repair here.
Every
what
hit.
Sick builds. Elazer's still committing to this. He's just going to keep on making roaches. They're going to mine out maybe eventually.
There we do have that starport though, and that's really going to put the clock on Elazer, because if Medivacs come out, well, that could very well be the beginning of the end. I'm surprised that Innovation is getting a reactor. It's like, you know, you've got 16 SCVs and almost no money. Like, he still wants to produce 2 Medivacs at the same time. Elazer has still not made a single drone thought. He wants to end the game. Well, it's going to be hard. He needs magical corrosive balls, the dream corrosive balls.
And Innovation is the only thing he needs to defend against. His buildings kind of worry me. I feel like if he kind of gets trapped inside of his own buildings and the corrosive bile is perfectly landed, like say behind the barracks and the factory, for example, he might end up having to land. But I mean, he's got such a huge army with Steam Pack.
Yep. First 2 Medivacs are going to be in production, and that's really, once again, putting the timer on Elazer. I'm not sure if Elazer saw the starport, but he's going to get awfully close at least to seeing it.
Yeah.
He doesn't know about it yet, but if he sees it soon, then he knows that he's going to have to commit. He still does not see it, though.
Elazer's trying to land some of this corrosive bite, but Innovation staying patient, knowing that if he gets these Medivacs, he's going to be in a fantastic position. The clock's running out for Elazer.
Yep.
He has to go right now.
Oh, Poland on the ropes here, Todd. This is going to be really hard. He kind of has to run up this ramp, but that's not what you want to do. Now he's going to see these magical beams of the Medivacs, and Elazer will realize that he is in a world of trouble. You can see the healing effect. Wow, Innovation actually picking up a couple of units. Just not many, just a couple.
Yeah, I think he has enough
Marines
of the ramp anyway
Yeah.
to Steam Pack and Micro, and now he's going to force some of these units of Elazer back. Like, you can't run back with slow roaches.
So maybe this is Elazer has to go, right? Corrosive Ball does connect. One Marauder falls. I really think he has to go, Todd. I think Elazer has to go.
Yeah, he's going to go for it. Still trying to shoot some of these corrosive bite. I mean, the counter-attack is going to be massive here. Even just a couple Marines like this can be really scary. Actually, he only loaded 5.
Yep. 4 roaches were left behind. One or two roaches do get picked off. Obviously, both players paying attention to the battle on the south side. Actually, excellent defense by Elazer.
14 drones to 24 SCVs.
So
Keep in mind, hatcheries can't move to natural bases. Orbital commands can.
This is such an insane tango. They're doing the tango right now with the title of Nation Wars 4 on the line. If Innovation makes one misstep, if the crosser balls do connect, then it could be all over. It's just a single Marauder, no, 2 Marauders, excuse me. And then a whole bunch of Marines. A couple of Marines do take damage. The Cyclone actually took a lot of damage as well. Elazer is starting to eat a lot of shots now, though.
And he's going to try to spam corrosive bile all over the place. Misses most of this and loses a lot of his Ravagers. I think Innovation's finally properly defended this.
5 Medivacs right now on the side of Innovation. That's going to be an insane amount of healing power. He has combat shield as well. He's even getting concussive shells, and he feels confident enough to take his low ground. Let's not forget, he could always lift up his orbital and try to take the expander. He's going to stim forward, and these Ravagers are awfully by themselves. There are no roaches to soak up any damage. I think this could very well be it, Todd. These units from Elazer will die. Innovation is moving forward, picking up all these units one by one.
And I think he's done it here for South Korea. The machine, the final boss, pulls through after a disappointing first time coming out, losing to a cheese from Nurcho. This time around, does not let this happen. GG. South Korea is your Nation Wars 4 champion.
Innovation gets the job done. Todd, that got so close there at one point. Pulling the SCVs. I wonder if the focus fire, if he snipes his Marauders just a tiny bit faster, this could have been different. But this machine was unfazed did not skip a beat, did not mess up, pulled the right amount of SCVs, and Zest and SOS are very, very pleased with that champ.
They're absolutely relieved, and they should be. It was so close. Came down to the final map, to the final few units. I thought he might die for a second when Nideza moved up the ramp, messed up a few times, but not quite enough for him to lose. Down to 7 SCVs. He just stayed patient, realized what was happening, stayed up the ramp, and Laser not able to come back in this game. And South Korea can be proud because they're the best country in the world at Starcraft.
Surprise, surprise. Here you have it, South Korea are your Starcraft 2 Nation Wars 4 champions. That was to be expected, but I think the road was a lot tougher than a lot of people predicted it. Well, I think we're just going to give it to Funka as he's going to have the final words here. Thought it was a fantastic final. Funka, take it away. It's all yours.
The Korean team are the winners of Nation Wars 4. Please give them a clap right now. All right, this was a hell of a final with the best of 9 going to the last final game. So first of all, I want to have the feelings maybe of all the players because we've seen a lot of emotion from them because this was such a tense finals. What was going through their heads while Innovation was playing the last match?
되게 힘들게 우승하게 되었는데 마지막에 이신영 선수의 에이스 결정전을 보면서 어떤 생각이 들었나요?
이진영 선수가 결승전 하기 전에 그 조별 그 토너먼트 할 때 진 경기가 아닌데 지지쳐서 나간 경기가 있어요. 그래가지고 혹시나 상대가 그 본진 올인이었는데 확인을 제대로 못해가지고 지지치면 어쩌나 하고 가슴 졸이고 있었어요.
So during the group stages of tournaments, there was a game where Innovation he played a game where he hadn't actually lost the game completely, but he just GG'd out anyway. So he was sort of worried that when he saw the one base all in, that the same thing might happen again. 김유진 선수는 어떻게 생각하시나요?
저는 제가 지고 나서도 이신영 선수 한 명 남았는데 아직 스코어가 몰린 것 같은 느낌은 안 들었지만 그래도 게임 내용이 너무 좀 콩닥콩닥 해가지고 너무 가슴 졸였던 것 같아요.
So after SOS lost, he didn't really think that they were that behind, but still the game that Innovation played, it was such a close and tight game that he was very nervous during it.
All right, then I guess the next question is going to be for Innovation. Last year he wasn't able to carry his team. Obviously it was online and all the reasons that we know. But this time he was able to redeem himself, carry this team throughout victory. How good does he feel right now?
이신영 선수가 저번 네이션워에서 그 우승 못했는데 이번에 우승을 할 수 있어서 지금 소감이 어떤가요?
사실 좀 무난하게 이길 줄 알았는데 생각보다 스코어가 몰려가지고 되게 긴장을 좀 많이 했고 또 상대 저그들이 좀 날카로워가지고 굉장히 어려운 경기를 했는데 그래도 저번에는 준우승 했지만 이번에는 우승해서 되게 좋아요.
So Innovation actually thought that he would win pretty easily, but somehow the score was really tight, so he got very nervous. And the enemy's Zerg players, they had some very sharp builds. But he's glad that he got second place last time, and he's glad he's able to win the championship this time.
All right. Does Ino or even any of Zest or SOS have a word for the Polish team? And obviously Nurture that almost all killed them. Do they have a word for them?
그 혹시 폴란드 팀 특별히 그 너치오 선수한테 뭐 남겨줄 말이 있나요?
No words. Sorry.
7판 4선이었다면 저희가 진 것 같아요. 잘하는 것 같아요. 네.
SOS says that if this was best of 7, he thinks they would have lost. They're pretty good.
And
수고했다고 전해주고 싶네요.
He says, good games, guys.
New games to Poland. It's nice to hear. It's nice to hear. I think my last question is going to be, well, Korea is supposed to be, at the top of the food chain of Starcraft. This year, they proved it by winning Nation Wars. Can we count on them to be the winners of Nation Wars 5 also?
한국이 스타크래프트의 최강국이라고 알려져 있는데 이번 내셔널에서 그걸 증명했어요. 근데 다음 대회도 그렇게 우승할 수 있을까요?
최강이라고 하기엔 좀 스코어가 아슬아슬해가지고 좀 다음 대회에서는 좀 더 압도적인 경기력으로 우승하고 싶어요.
The score was a little bit too tight to say that Korea is far and beyond the best country at StarCraft. So next tournament, he hopes that Korea can win by a much more one-sided score.
SOS?
보여준 게 없어서 좀 아쉽긴 한데 다음에 또 기회가 된다면 와서 이제 보고만 있다가 우승하지 않고 직접 경기에서 우승하는 모습 보여드리고 싶네요.
SOS says it's unfortunate that he couldn't show you guys anything. So next time, if he gets a chance, he wants to come and actually contribute.
Okay. And
또 올 수 있으면 또 우승하고 싶네요.
Innovation says, if he can come again, he wants to win again.
Easy win for the machine. Well, guys, this will sum up Nation Wars 4, and I want to thank everybody that made it possible. Obviously, Blizzard Entertainment, we can give them a clap also. And yeah, everybody that was part of this tournament, the staff, the admins, the tech guys, everyone that made this tournament possible. I hope you enjoyed it. And obviously, we're saying you goodbye, but not for too long. We want to have Nation Wars 5, and we'll make it happen if we can. Thank you. Come here, boys. Come here. Sugo. Everybody here.